This page is the front cover of Volume 27 of the Nintendo 64Dream magazine. It's an enthusiast magazine, and this issue is from December 1998. The cover features Link from The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time prominently. The main feature seems to be about supporting third-party developers for the N64. Featured games mentioned include PD Ultraman Battle Collection 64 and a game related to the anime series Neon Genesis Evangelion. Other games listed include Hey You, Pikachu, Ganbare Goemon, Ogre Battle 3, Getter Love, Nushitsuri 64, and Harvest Moon 2. The cover also highlights The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and Banjo-Kazooie. The magazine price is 490 yen. The next page is an advertisement for the Japanese N64 game 64 Ozumo 2, or 64 Grand Sumo 2. It's coming out on November 27th and will cost 6,980 yen, excluding tax. The ad highlights that the game has become even more interesting and fun, with upgraded power, realism, and events. It boasts a 5-year story mode where you can create and train your own original sumo wrestler, aiming to become the ultimate yokozuna, focusing on training, skills, and even romance within the sumo world. You can also battle against wrestlers your friends have trained. The tagline emphasizes an overall upgrade in quality for this sequel. The game is published by Bottom Up. This page showcases 64 Grand Sumo 2, a sumo wrestling game for the Nintendo 64. It highlights features like character customization for face, body type, mawashi color, and personality, offering 38 different mawashi colors to choose from. The game boasts 77 types of techniques and 50 types of finishing moves. Players can also experience various events to power up their wrestlers and encounter rival characters. The game promises a realistic sumo experience with arena announcements, sound effects, and Rumble Pack support. This page is an advertisement for the Game Boy Color, highlighting its features and its debut on October 21, 1998, with a suggested retail price of 8,900 yen, excluding tax. The advert promotes the Game Boy Color as evolving from monochrome to color, emphasizing a clear and easy-to-see screen thanks to its reflective TFT color LCD. It also states that all Game Boy software can be played in color, with 4 to 10 colors, and Game Boy Color dedicated software can display up to 56 colors out of 32,000. The advert also mentions infrared communication as a standard feature, which was not available on previous Game Boys, and boasts 20 hours of continuous gameplay with 2 AA alkaline batteries. Finally, it highlights the upcoming release of color software titles like Tetris DX and Wario Land 2, noting that these can also be played on older Game Boy systems. The advertisement shows the 6 available body colors: red, purple, yellow, blue, clear purple, and clear. This page is the contents page of the magazine, and it highlights the main game features: The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Banjo-Kazooie. The page lists upcoming N64 titles and sections, including new software information, strategy guides, news and Q&A, SFC and GB game information, regular columns, a manga section, and reader presents. The staff list and publication details are included at the bottom, with a release date of October 21, 1998. This page outlines a release calendar for upcoming games. It highlights the recent Tokyo Game Show, where the Game Boy was very popular. The headline calendar focuses on Zelda and Banjo-Kazooie, announcing their release dates. Zelda is confirmed for release on November 21st, a week later than the initially planned 14th, but it's assured to be on time. Banjo-Kazooie's release date is also confirmed. The calendar also touches on Pikachu and Uga, questioning when their release dates will be, hinting at a winter release for Pikachu, suggesting it might be released within the year. Coming soon are 2 N64 titles: Kirato and Kikai 64 Tantaidan, a puzzle-adventure game released on October 23rd, and City Tour Grand Prix, a racing game released on October 30th. The page also includes a Super Famicom and Game Boy release calendar, listing games scheduled for release in November, December, and beyond. However, it seems focused on games for those platforms rather than N64 titles. This article presents 2 Nintendo 64 game rankings. The first is the Reader's Choice Expected New Games Top 20, featuring upcoming titles: The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Ogre Battle, Person of Lordly Caliber, and Pikachu Genki Dichu, Hey You Pikachu! Rank 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, respectively. Other anticipated titles include Mother 3, Earthbound 64, Harvest Moon 2, and sequels to Super Mario 64 and Super Mario RPG. The second list. These are the selling N64 Soft Top 10, shows the best-selling games. Pokémon Stadium is number 1, followed by Diddy Kong Racing and Yoshi's Story. Nintendo's dominance is evident, even though the initial top 3 are from third-party developers. Harvest Moon 2 is noted for entering the charts at 5th place. This page is packed with user survey results and data. It kicks off with the top 10 reasons why gamers decide to buy games, with Game Magazine articles leading the way, followed by TV commercials and price considerations. Then, it dives into prize winnings, looking at both general TV and magazine lotteries, and specifically prizes from 64Dream magazine itself. It seems like winning prizes in general lotteries is fairly common, with some people winning multiple times. However, winning 64Dream prizes appears to be much rarer. There's also a snapshot of the 64Dream editorial office, and a bit about how to best read the magazine, highlighting the importance of game reviews. Moving on, the page lists the top 20 snacks and drinks gamers enjoy while playing. Potato chips and chocolate are high up on the snack list, while cola is the go-to drink. Interestingly, it points out that a good chunk of gamers actually avoid eating or drinking during gaming sessions, mostly to keep their controllers clean, or because their parents say no. There are even reader comments about specific snack preferences. It's a fun look at what gamers are consuming alongside their N64 action. This page is an advertorial for the Bandai Nintendo 64 game, PD Ultraman Battle Collection 64, a Japan-exclusive title. It's described as a training game, where you collect and raise Ultraman characters to battle. The game's genre is a mix of training, fighting, and collection. The advert highlights a feature called Gachapon Tower, where you can train your collected Ultraman characters. You can acquire new characters in 2 ways: through in-game Gachapon, or by using your Game Boy cartridge. Again, the game was released in February 1999 for 6,800 yen and supports 12 players and the Game Boy Pack. This page is showcasing the GB Ultra Pack, an accessory that allows you to insert Game Boy cartridges to unlock Ultraman characters in an N64 game. It explains that while most characters and Gachapon toys can't be obtained directly, this accessory acts as a key. By connecting the GB pack and inserting any Game Boy cartridge, previously unavailable Ultraman characters will appear in the N64 game. It also mentions that even with the same cartridge, different save data can result in variations in special abilities, parameters, or even items instead of characters. The page highlights "Aim for Ultraman Battler" as the goal of the game, suggesting a tournament where players train Ultraman characters obtained through the GB pack. This tournament, the Ultra Battle Tournament, is held once a year with 10 ranks, and players must progress through the ranks to reach the top. Rewards include money and prizes. The ultimate goal is to win all ranks and earn the title of Ultraman Battler. The page includes screenshots showing gameplay with an Ultraman character battling and mentions card data being obtained after battles. The text at the bottom emphasizes that it is a good game. This page is a preview for the upcoming Nintendo 64 game, Neon Genesis Evangelion. Published by Bandai and developed by Gainax, this action title is slated for release in spring of 1999 and is compatible with the Rumble Pack. Based on the popular anime series, the game puts you in control of an Evangelion unit to battle against the mysterious angels, enemies threatening humanity. Screenshots showcase gameplay and familiar characters from the anime, including Misato and Gendo, along with the first angel, Sachiel. The preview explains the core concept of Evangelion for those unfamiliar, highlighting the year 2015, the emergence of angels, and the role of Evangelion humanoid weapons piloted by 14-year-old children. It emphasizes the immersive experience of piloting an EVA and engaging in combat, mirroring the anime's intense battles. The game aims to recreate the feel of the anime, which became a massive hit in Japan after its TV series debut in autumn 1995. The next page presents an overview of the Neon Genesis Evangelion game, highlighting its focus on recreating the intense battles between Evangelions and angels as seen in the anime series. The game uses 3D polygons to represent the characters, and emphasizes motion capture to bring the EVAs and angels to life with impactful movements. The story mode is detailed, aiming to recreate the original anime story for each stage, tasking players to defeat 5 angels. Gameplay mechanics shown include gauges for EVA and angel health, synchronization rate between pilot and EVA, pilot faces during gameplay, and the power supply and umbilical cable connection. If the synchronization rate drops too low, a berserk mode may activate. The game aims to faithfully recreate famous scenes from the anime, like the AT field being breached and the umbilical cable being cut. A small section at the bottom details a service event at the Tokyo Game Show, where attendees could enter a prize draw to win Neon Genesis Evangelion merchandise, including special cards. This page is a preview for the Nintendo 64 game Pikachu Genki Dechu, which was released internationally as Hey You Pikachu. The page highlights Pikachu's special move, the 10-man Volt attack, and how it can be used within the game for various activities. Screenshots show Pikachu using 10-man Volt to roast sweet potatoes, open treasure chests, and knock down coconuts from trees. The text describes how this attack can be used in interactive and fun ways beyond just battling, making Pikachu a helpful companion in the game world. Game information includes the developer being Nintendo and Umbrella. The genre is listed as a dialogue game, and it's for one player. The game is described as allowing players to communicate with Pikachu and enjoy various activities together. This page showcases Hey You Pikachu for the Nintendo 64, highlighting different gameplay scenarios through in-game screenshots. The title at the top exclaims, "Screen Photo Big Release," suggesting a reveal of various in-game scenes. The text introduces the game, mentioning playing with Pikachu and exploring different stages. The sections then detail specific activities you can do with Pikachu, such as caring for a Caterpie, waking Pikachu up, searching for sweet potatoes, and even fishing. Each section provides a short description of the activity and shows corresponding screenshots from the game. For example, in the fishing section, it mentions you can fish and catch a slowpoke, calling it lucky. The page gives a glimpse into the interactive and playful nature of Hey You Pikachu. This page is focused on the game Hey You Pikachu, which was released in Japan as Pikachu Genki Dechu. It showcases the Pokemon Silhouette Quiz feature, where players need to guess Pokemon based on their silhouettes, with Pikachu reacting to their progress. The page also features a section called Pikachu Genki Dechu Consultation Room, with an interview with the game's director, Wataru Kawashima. He discusses the game's development and answers questions from fans about the game. The next page is all about Hey You Pikachu. This game uses voice recognition, and they're showing off how you communicate with Pikachu using your microphone. There are screenshots of Pikachu in different environments reacting to the player's voice. The page features a Q&A section answering common questions players might have, such as how to become friends with Pikachu, which is by talking to it a lot and understanding what makes it happy. They confirm that Pikachu's voice in the game is the same voice actress from the anime, Ikue Otani. They also discuss the game's design, saying they put a lot of effort into representing how Pikachu reacts to your voice within the game world, which was a challenging aspect of development. The questions also cover if characters like Professor Oaks and Team Rocket appear, confirming Professor Oak is in the game to give advice, but Team Rocket will not appear. Finally, they reassure adult players that the game is enjoyable for all ages, emphasizing the fun in interacting with Pikachu as a friend. This page is a preview for the upcoming game Ogre Battle 3, Person of Lordly Caliber. The page showcases an image of 3 characters who appear to be knights or warriors in armor, framed ornately. The text highlights that this month's issue will reveal screens outside of field battles, including the first look at character creation and class change screens. It also introduces Hugo Miller, an elderly military advisor who will support the player. The preview emphasizes that a lot of new information is packed in, and that the full scope of the Ogre series is becoming clearer. The game is listed as a simulation RPG developed by Quest and is scheduled for a winter release, supporting 1 player. This page details the PC player character creation process in an RPG, where you create your protagonist, Magnus. It explains that character creation involves answering questions from a priest during a ceremony, which determines your initial parameters and starting companions. The page also highlights the world map feature, showing that the game world is displayed with symbols representing towns, castles, and unexplored areas. The world map allows for strategic movement and displays routes. It also introduces the world map command menu, offering options such as editing characters and units, training, viewing reports, adjusting game settings, and managing game data, providing a strategic layer to gameplay outside of battles. The game being showcased here is likely Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber, given the character name Magnus and gameplay style depicted. This page details information about the game Tactics Ogre. It highlights the Hugo report and character command features within the game. The Hugo report acts like an in-game encyclopedia, providing players with various information. The character command allows players to view relationships between characters in the game as the story progresses, revealing affiliations and relationships. It mentions that new characters will be added to this command feature as they appear in the game. The page also explains the strategy meeting event, which occurs before battles in uncharted territories. During this event, Hugo provides explanations and strategic advice using the field map to guide the player's war efforts. It shows screenshots of Hugo explaining strategy and the field map interface. This page details the in-game command functions and training features of a strategy RPG. It showcases 4 command categories: Affairs, Other, Hints, and Training. The Affairs command lets players review past in-game events and conversations based on the in-game year and month. This allows players to revisit key story moments and dialogue. The Other command provides access to background information on the game's world, including countries, people, and past events. This helps players deepen their knowledge of the game's lore and setting, useful for understanding the storyline as it progresses. The Hints command offers gameplay rules and tips, essentially acting as an in-game manual, accessible during gameplay. It includes hints on various game mechanics like legions, classes, items, and hidden treasures, and combat actions. Finally, the training section describes a paid training mode. Players can utilize the battle system to level up characters and acquire experience. Training is conducted using mock battles on the world map, offering a way to strengthen units. However, experience points are only gained if the training battle is won. The game world map is used to select the training location and deploy units for training battles, which take place in battle scenes and continue until one side is defeated. This page is introducing the army organization screen from a strategy game, likely Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber. The page title translates to Before Battle Army Organization Screen Introduction. It explains that this screen is for preparing for field battles by customizing your army. This includes changing character equipment, class changes, and setting up unit and legion formations. The page highlights the importance of strategic customization of your army. The text also details different windows on the screen. These include the status window, which displays detailed character stats, the character information window showing brief character details, and the unit information window for unit stats. It also explains the alignment display method. Finally, it mentions demo screens shown when the game starts up, including story and class introduction demos. This page introduces various commands that can be performed on the formation screen of a game, likely a strategy RPG. It starts by showcasing character commands, which include options for purchasing and equipping items. The soldier replenishment command is detailed, showing how to add soldiers to units. Next, unit commands cover unit formation, battle commands, and unit item usage. The page then moves to item commands, illustrating the item list and item management. Legion commands are presented, focusing on legion formation, formation selection, and unit deployment. Lastly, character condition adjustment is shown, explaining character sorting based on level. At the bottom, the page introduces demo screens, describing the game as Ogre Battle Saga Episode 6, placing it after Legendary Ogre Battle and before Tactics Ogre. It mentions the Third Valerian War and explains the game's narrative background, highlighting the conflict and setting. The screenshots shown are clearly from Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber, the English title for the game, which was released internationally. This page is all about the game Get or Love. This is described as a love simulation party game where you deepen your relationships. The game is due to be released on December 4th. There are descriptions of different game modes, including Normal mode, single player. You play as one of 7 girls aiming to get confessed to and accepted by a chosen boy. Computer players control the other girls. The text mentions a popular character named Yukishiro. Everyone's normal mode, multiplayer. This is a versus mode. The rules are the same as single player but played against other human players. Quiz battle game, Quiz de Pond. A quiz-based battle game for up to 7 players. The first person to answer correctly wins. 2 strike pond. Battle game. a 3D shooting game where players navigate a maze and shoot human-like enemies. Mic'd Upon, battle game, a karaoke boxing game using a microphone. Players compete to input button commands at the right time for points. Date D Punch, battle game, a game where you hit swarming characters with a hammer to protect your girl. Page. The page also includes screenshots from each of these game modes. This page is all about the exciting, heart-pounding dates you can have with girls in romance games on the N64. It highlights special events, which are fun and sometimes embarrassing situations that happen during dates, and raise your love points. One example shows a girl comically angry with a broom, another is at an arcade where she enjoys shooting games, and another is at a flea market where she's running a stall. The page also introduces topic balls, which are items you can use to bring up conversation topics on dates. Using these can lead to different reactions, so you need to choose wisely. An example conversation about natto is shown. Finally, it explains the memories mode, which lets you relive event scenes and conversations from topic balls even after the game is over. Collecting all events and topic balls might unlock something special. This page is diving into the terrifying reality of Reika Konguji from Tokimeki Memorial 2 on the N64. It's like a special report exposing her true nature as a mystery super high school girl who's causing trouble in the game by interfering in other people's romances. The article even calls her a romance harassment character. Apparently, players are experiencing a lot of damage from Reika, and the magazine is reporting on these player experiences. We see screenshots of gameplay showing a map-based system, and dialogues where Reika is being a bit possessive and jealous. One speech bubble even says, "Because girls other than Reika are not in my eyes, I told you so." It seems Reika is quite the handful. The page also teases the ending screens, revealing that there are various types of endings, with 28 in total. This month, they are showing off 5 giri-giri, or barely making it type endings, and encouraging players to discover the rest themselves. It seems like achieving the perfect ending with your favorite girl is going to be tough with Reika around. This page announces the results of a popularity poll and the formation of the Panda Love Unit idol group related to the game Getter Love. The popularity poll reveals the top 5 characters. Minagawa Makoto in first place with 72 votes, followed by Amami Kihiro, Shiroi Ayumi, Morimura Rei, and Itu Natsuki. The poll also mentions Suzuki Hanahana and Lee Meifa, tied with 3 votes. There's a comment from Nakamura-san stating that Minagawa Makoto was also internally popular and came first in the company poll too. The Panda Love Unit is formed by 7 members who were selected through auditions held on September 24th for singing members for a Getter Love CD. The members are Nagata Koharu, Takahashi Naoko, Yoshioka Ami, Inoue Komugi, Sakuragi Kyoko, Sakuragi Mari, and Hagihara Ami. Their CD is scheduled for release on December 18th. This page is showcasing the game Ganbare Goemon, Dero Dushu Obake Tenkomori. The game is highlighted as featuring 2-player actions. It's emphasized that this Goemon title allows players to choose from 4 familiar characters from the series: Goemon, Ebisumaru, Sasuke, and Yae, for the first time. The game is described as a side-scrolling action game where jumping and attacking are key, promising exciting and fun gameplay. Screenshots are shown for each of the 4 playable characters. Goemon's gameplay is described as using his trademark pipe for attacks and throwing coins. Ebisumaru's attacks include farting and using a megaphone. Sasuke is presented as a mechanical ninja who can attack in multiple directions with his kunai. Yakin is described as using her pipe and bazooka, also able to transform into a mermaid. The game's details in a box state the title as Ganbare Goemon, Dero Dushu Obake Tenkomori, the company as Konami, the release date as December 23rd, the price as 7,800 yen, the genre as action, and player number as 12 players. This page looks like a preview for the game Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, which was released internationally on the Nintendo 64. It highlights the initial Edo area stage of the game, calling it the start of a grand adventure. The page details different sections within the Edo area, like Hagure Street, Hagure Town, and Kanasuki Pass. Hagure Street is described as the first stage of the adventure, mentioning you can ride a horse. Screenshots show 2 players riding horses. Hagure Town is the first town you visit, where you can meet a specific character. A screenshot shows a shop interior where you can order food like oden, udon, and sushi to recover health. Kanasuki Pass is described as a stage where you can use aerial swings to traverse the area, which seems quite challenging. Screenshots show gameplay on swings. Finally, the page highlights Goemon Impact, describing it as Goemon's powerful ally and a key feature of the game, with 3D battles against giant mecha enemies, even mentioning female robot enemies. It seems like this section focuses on the giant robot battles that are a signature part of the Goemon series. This page is all about the N64 fishing RPG called Nushitsuri 64. It's highlighting the game's focus on enjoying fishing throughout the 4 seasons. The article mentions it's being developed smoothly for release in November 1998 and is designed to be fun for everyone. It mentions that if you use a Game Boy cartridge pack, you can use data from Umi no Nushitsuri 2, Legend of the Sea King 2, with Nushitsuri 64. This allows you to fish for sea fish in Nushitsuri 64. It also points out that by talking to the old fisherman character, you can get tips and hints. Apparently, there's a rumor that he looks just like the magazine's editor-in-chief. The page also includes game data details like the title, publisher, Packinsoft, release month, November 1998, price, 6,800 yen, memory size, 128 M, genre, fishing RPG, player count, 1, and notes on controller and Game Boy pack compatibility. There's also a section showing a fish called Kurodai, Black Sea Bream, with info like its caught amount, maximum length, average length, habitat, and culinary uses. Finally, there's a question box asking, what kind of sea fish can you catch in Nushitsuri 64? Implying, the game lets you import various sea fish data from the Game Boy game. This page highlights winter fishing in Legend of the River King 64, mentioning ice fishing for Wakasagi and how to drill holes in the ice to fish. It also discusses catching snapping turtles in the game, noting they are difficult to catch and want to be caught. The page then explains how players can raise fish they catch in an aquarium, showcasing setting options like light and feeding. Finally, it summarizes a fishing tournament that used data from Legend of the River King 2 in Legend of the River King 64, where 4 people competed to catch the biggest fish. The results table shows the catches of teams named Banana, Saito, Saoma-chan, and Mara-chan. The people involved in the tournament are pictured, including members of the editorial department and development staff. The next page focuses on Harvest Moon 2 for the N64, providing a preview of this popular farming simulation game. It highlights the concept of Flower Bud Village as the setting, introducing key locations within the village like the mayor's house, the Flower Bud Library, the cow and chicken shop, and the player's own home. Character introductions include Thomas, the mayor, Anna, Mary, who works at the library, Doga, and Kenta. The page gives brief descriptions of these characters and their roles. Game details mentioned in a side panel confirm the title as 2, Harvest Moon 2, the developer as Packinsoft, and a planned release in February 1999. The game is categorized as a simulation, supporting 1-player and controller pack compatibility, with a game capacity of 128 M. The next page presents an overview of a town in what is likely Harvest Moon 64. It showcases various locations and introduces key characters living there. The page details the bar, which is lively at night and run by Master Duke, who is described as silent but with depth, and is surprisingly the uncle of the cake shop master. A church features Pastor Brown, a moral man who also works as a school teacher. Flower shop Lilia is managed by Basil, a traveler, and his wife Lilia, and they sell both crops and flower seeds, with their daughter Popuri helping out. The tool shop on the left entrance is owned by Rick, an optimistic inventor with a fragile health. The right entrance leads to Saibara's souvenir shop. The cake shop is where Ellie's grandma Ellen, a renowned cake maker, resides, and it's highlighted as the go-to place for gifts. The racetrack, located beyond the plaza at the top of the stairs, promises enjoyable events. The page also includes a section called This Month's Farm Illustration, which thanks readers for submitting artwork and questions, and mentions a future corner dedicated to answering reader questions before the game's release. It praises a serene farm illustration by Yoshikawa from Hiroshima. This interview with Koei developers discusses Winback, an N64 gun action game where players infiltrate a terrorist-controlled satellite center. Koei, known for simulation games, aimed for a hard-boiled action title with realistic, sophisticated gameplay and a visible player character. Development involved extensive motion capture, increasing the protagonist's movements significantly. Despite an initial year-end release target, developers delayed release to polish the game. Winback is expected to launch in winter and will feature a 96 megabytes capacity, Rumble Pack support, and a third-person perspective. Screenshots showcase gameplay, and the interview features developer Miyazaki Tomonori. Koei's Tatsuya Yazaki discusses their N64 game, Winback. The game, a third-person shooter, features advanced graphics made possible by the N64's capabilities. The military-themed scenario benefits from the team's expertise in weaponry, aiming for realism. While motion capture is used, half the animation is hand-animated for quality. Winback will support 2-player, with 4-player battles as a target, and feature split-screen multiplayer. Branching storylines, driven by player choices, promise high replayability. The game's realistic character models take a month each to create. Yazaki emphasizes the delayed release is to ensure user satisfaction, promising an interesting experience. Miyazaki highlights the unique feel of the game. Screenshots depict action-packed gameplay, including character Jean and building destruction. The developers are confident Winback will be very enjoyable. The international release was Winback: Covert Operations. The next page is a preview of Tetris 64. It highlights that this version includes 3 game modes, aiming to offer a definitive Tetris experience on the N64 at a reasonable price of 4,980 yen. The game utilizes the biosensor and allows up to 4 players. The page details the 3 game types. A-type. This is described as the standard Tetris mode, where the game continues until you get a game over, with falling tetriminos. B-type. This mode is described as a 25-line clear challenge mode, where clearing 25 lines leads to the next stage. You can select from different starting block configurations. C-type. In this mode, after a certain number of tetriminos appear, the bottom row of blocks starts rising. The page also introduces Ojama blocks, which are described as a way to interfere with opponent players in multiplayer mode. You can send these blocks to opponents, potentially causing them trouble and leading to victory. It mentions that more details about Ojama blocks will be revealed in the next issue. The page also provides game information like, quote, title, Tetris 64, publisher, Seta, release date, November mid-month, price, 4,980 yen, genre, puzzle, players, 14 players, features, biosensor compatible, 64M capacity. This page is all about Tetris on the N64, featuring 3 main modes. The first mode is Original Tetris, described as the classic and familiar Tetris experience. It emphasizes that its fun is guaranteed, and up to 4 players can battle it out, throwing garbage blocks at each other. It's noted as being easy for beginners, and also great for a quick solo play session. Next up is Giga Tetris, which mixes normal Tetris blocks with giant blocks that are twice the size. Clearing lines with these Giga Tetriminos makes them split and fall to fill any gaps below, leading to massive chain reactions of up to 22 lines at once. This mode also supports up to 4 players. Lastly, there's Bio Tetris, a very unique mode using a biosensor that you clip onto your earlobe. This sensor detects your heart rate and influences the Tetris pieces that appear. If your heart is racing, you'll get more advantageous tetriminos. But if you're calm, you'll see special biotetriminos with unusual shapes. This mode is for 1 or 2 players and really encourages you to control your heart rate to influence the game. The biosensor itself is shown and mentioned to be released in mid-November for 1,800 yen, asking if you can control your heart rate? This page is a preview for Magical Tetris Challenge featuring Mickey, a puzzle game for the Nintendo 64. It highlights the game's story mode, where players can choose from Mickey, Minnie, Donald, or Goofy to play through individual storylines. The story involves Donald Duck finding a mysterious glowing stone while fishing, leading to adventures involving his friends. Minnie Mouse finds stone fragments while making cookies. Goofy is busy with work but is intrigued by the stone, and Mickey is involved in investigating the stone's origin. The game is described as a puzzle genre for 12 players and supports the Rumble Pack. It is published by Capcom and was planned for release this winter in Japan with a price of 6,800 yen. This page highlights the Nintendo 64 game Magical Tetris Challenge, pointing out unique features beyond standard Tetris, such as the Piece Anticipation Fall System, TLS, and Pentris, allowing 5 lines to be cleared at once. The page explains the game modes including Story Mode, Endless Mode, and Up-Down Tetris Mode, and showcases the character selection featuring Mickey, Donald, Goofy, and Minnie. Character descriptions are given for Pete, described as mischievous, the Big Bad Wolf, who is cool and collected, and Weasel, described as short-tempered. Interestingly, the page also mentions a CM audition seeking female players for Magical Tetris Challenge commercials and promotional posters, with auditions being held across Japan. Toucan Road 2. The Next Generation, releasing December 26th, promises a new and improved wrestling experience. The game features an additional mode and boasts over 600 manageable techniques, accessible through a convenient list. Players can compete in the Aim for Main Event MVP mode, managing a wrestler's yearly schedule across 7 series of matches to win the MVP award. Progressing through preliminary matches leads to main event opportunities. The yearly schedule includes various events like Hyper Battle and G1 Climax. Success in the game may result in televised matches. The game emphasizes both match results and exciting wrestling content, and screenshots showcase gameplay and character art. This page is all about the upcoming wrestling game, Toucan Road 2 for the N64. It highlights the participation of the UFO organization in the New Japan Pro Wrestling Ring. Featured wrestlers include the legendary Antonio Inoki, the Masked Tiger King, Don Fry, and Naoya Ogawa, in what is hyped as a fated showdown. The page also announces the revival of Keiji Muto after surgery, promising his moonsault press and other signature moves will be in the game. Screenshots showcase in-game action, including wrestler selection screens and match gameplay. The text emphasizes the excitement of pro wrestling action in the game. This page introduces Hiryu no Ken Stadium SD version, a 3D fighting game on the N64. It highlights the game's SD version and details some key features. The page showcases the treasure equipment screen for the first time, where players can customize their characters with items. It then dives into a Mode Review plus Alpha section, outlining the game modes: Story, VS Battle, Training, Briefing Room, Options, and Grand Prix. The Briefing Room will feature a treasure gallery, a shop, and Training Mode now lets you choose backgrounds. The These characters are section introduces Ryu and Jack as new additions, characters from the Super Chinese series, specifically mentioning the Famicom title, Super Chinese. It also showcases the Earthquaker's super move with sequential screenshots, describing it as a powerful technique used by the character Earthquaker. The page mentions that the game retains and refines the easy-to-play and clear visual style of its predecessor Twin. This page showcases super moves, or secret techniques, in a fighting game. It highlights how these powerful moves are easier to perform compared to traditional fighting games, often requiring just a single button press. The article mentions that by obtaining treasure, even more moves can be unlocked, emphasizing character development. The page then displays several special moves from different characters. Shadow Clone by Earthquaker. This shows Earthquaker using a shadow clone technique. Blooming Chaos Star by Takahana. Takahana unleashes a floral-themed attack. Stainless Steel Rush by Bokuchin. Bokuchin performs a powerful dash attack. Sonic Burst. Sonic Burst by Weiler. Weiler executes a rapid sonic burst, so fast it was difficult to photograph clearly. Dragon Bomber by Jack. Jack launches a dragon-like aerial bombing attack. Mysterious Ray by Earthquaker. Earthquaker fires a mysterious ray. Kirin Kick Attack by Min Min. Min Min delivers a strong kick. Giant Swing by Powers. Powers performs a giant swing maneuver. The bottom film strip section comments on the impressive giant feat shown in the frames, and expresses excitement about introducing more amazing special moves in future issues. Lastly, there's an apology from the editorial department concerning an error in the previous issue regarding prize application details for Drytex Twin. They state that the current issue contains the correct information and apologize for any confusion caused to readers and manufacturers. This page is a game preview for Doraemon 2. Nobita and the Light Palace, an action-adventure game for the N64, expected to be released in December 1998, priced at 6,800 yen, and supporting the Rumble Pack. The story follows Doraemon and Nobita as they embark on a new adventure. Nobita finds a mysterious crystal which transports them to a strange new world called Crysteka. The preview introduces new characters they encounter: Kaoru and Gengoru, who are archaeologists, and Mina and Pyun, treasure hunters who are after the crystal Nobita found. The screenshots show gameplay in this new world, Crysteka. This page is dedicated to J-League Tactics Soccer, a simulation game where you take on the role of a J-League club manager. The article highlights team building and player training as key aspects of the game. It mentions the Urahawa Reds as an example club and shows screenshots of the game interface, including the training menus. You can create training schedules for your players and get advice from head coaches and physical coaches on player development. Training takes place in locations like the clubhouse and the ground, covering various aspects from stamina to shooting and jumping. The game also allows you to create original players, customizing their appearance and abilities to bolster your team's strength. Strategic training and team composition are emphasized as important elements to master, including considerations for foreign player selections. This page showcases the N64 game City Tour Grand Prix Zenihon GT Senshuken, a racing title that was only released in Japan. It highlights 3 game modes: Championship, where you compete against 8 AI opponents across all courses; Time Trial, a mode to improve your lap times; and Battle Mode, for 1 versus 1 player races. The page details 2 of the courses, the Tokyo Short Course and the Tokyo Long Course, providing screenshots and descriptions of key features and challenging corners for each track, emphasizing high speeds and braking techniques. It also hints at a hidden USA course unlockable by winning the championship mode. The next page introduces Zeal Kari, a role-playing game for the N64. The page focuses on the monster collecting aspect of the game. After winning battles, players can choose one defeated monster to try and recruit to their party. The page details the process of monster recruitment, which involves choosing a party member to negotiate with the monster. The success of the negotiation, depicted through hand gestures, determines if the monster joins your team or not. If successful, the monster is added to your reserve party. The article mentions that you can have up to 8 monsters in your party in total, with 4 in the active battle party and 4 in reserve. Monsters not in the party are kept at the monster keep. There's also a monster picture book, which keeps track of the monsters you have collected. Monster stats are shown in tables with names like Bisharpy, Corn, Tuto, and Scaleman, alongside combat stats like attack power and run percentage. The monster keep is shown as a building managed by an old lady, and the page also teases unknown monsters via silhouettes in the monster picture book. This page is about the Japan-exclusive N64 board game called Kirato Kaiketsu 64 Tanteidan. The page introduces the game as a detective adventure where players solve cases. The game details include a release date of October 23rd, a price of 6,800 yen, genre as board game, 14 players supported, and compatibility with the Rumble Pack and Controller Pack. The page explains the battle system, which is turn-based and involves selecting commands. It details various command types, such as attack, quick attack, do nothing, evade, defend, counter, spirit up, and strong attack, explaining their effects in combat. 5 detective characters are introduced, each with stats like health points, Kirato points, attack power, investigation power, and speed. These characters are described with short personality summaries, including a leader-type boy, a somewhat childish girl, a robot, a glasses-wearing intelligent girl, and a high attack power schoolgirl. Finally, the page explains the meaning of the game parameters, such as health points decreasing upon damage, Kirato points being currency or magic points, attack power affecting damage dealt in battle, investigation power determining investigation range, and speed influencing evasion chance. This page features 2 N64 games: Weetrix, a 3D action puzzle game, and Snowspeeder, a sports game. Weetrix is described as a puzzle game where water spills out and you have to manage it. It mentions features like the Cubey ice cube that freezes water, and the bomb that creates holes in the ground, requiring players to repair them using up. Snowspeeder is presented as a winter sports game where players can enjoy skiing and snowboarding on courses with branching points. The page highlights a growth system for players, where improving skills like balance by repeatedly sliding earns points and enhances player abilities. It also mentions a battle mode, where players who have been trained via controller packs can compete against friends. This page introduces Fighting Cup for the N64, a 3D fighting game focused on a point-based battle system instead of traditional health gauges. The article details how to score points through various techniques: throwdown for 2 points, knockout and counterattacks for 3 points, and special moves for a big 4 points. Screenshots illustrate these different scoring methods, emphasizing that powerful special moves can turn the tide of battle. The game, published by Imagineer and slated for release in Japan in December 1998, supports 12 players and is compatible with the Rumble and controller packs. This page highlights Knife Edge Nose Gunner, a 3D shooting game for the N64, developed by Kemco and supporting up to 4 players. The game leverages the N64's capabilities for 4-player simultaneous play, offering both team mode and battle mode. In team mode, 2 to 4 players cooperate, sharing control of a single aircraft. Teamwork is emphasized as players work together with a shared health bar. Battle mode is a competitive mode for 1 versus 1 or 2 versus 2 matches. Players are divided into teams to compete for the best score and kill ratio. Battles take place on the same screen, and special weapons can be obtained during gameplay, adding a strategic element to the combat. The page emphasizes the competitive and intense nature of these battles. This page is about the game Top Gear Overdrive for the N64. It highlights the seasonal changes and natural environments featured in the game. The article mentions that the game is set entirely on the mountain course, but with 5 seasons confirmed, the scenery will change drastically with weather and time of day. It talks about how this seasonal change offers fresh driving experiences no matter how many times you play. One screenshot shows a snowy course, implying winter seasons will have icy roads and require careful driving. The game is described as having impressive graphics and detailed environments, and offers a variety of driving experiences within the same course due to the changing seasons. The release date is listed as December 18, 1998, and the genre is racing with 14 players supported, and it supports the Rumble Pack. This page is a preview for the N64 game King Hill 64 Extreme Snowboarding, known internationally as Snowboard Kids 2. The page focuses on the Easy Slider course, describing it as a sightseeing tour. The article mentions that while the course is not difficult, it offers varied and wonderful layouts unique to King Hill 64. The description highlights features of the course, starting with the initial jump point that leads to a flying saucer plateau, and then to areas with windmills and fuel tanks. Further along, there are jumps, train tracks, and even 2 snowplows before the goal, which is described as a midway point in higher difficulty levels. The screenshots show gameplay on snowy slopes, with the snowboarder performing tricks and navigating the course. Game details mentioned include the title, developer Kemco, 96M capacity, genre as sports, release date December 18, 1998, price of 6,980 yen, 1 to 2 players, and compatibility with vibration packs and controller packs. This page is a preview for Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, described as a survival shooting game for 1 to 4 players. It highlights that this sequel features a handsomer, high-resolution Turok compared to the previous game. The game stages are diverse, ranging from medieval ports to alien spaceships. There will be over 30 types of monsters with advanced AI and vibration pack support for realistic feedback. The game also includes supporting characters, even female ones, and offers both single-player and 4-player versus modes. Screenshots showcase the opening scene with a female character, the updated Turok character model, sniping from high vantage points, weapons like a sniper rifle and the ricocheting shredder, and a boomerang-like bladed weapon. Another image displays the Scorpion launcher, used to destroy enemies on bridges, and finally, a map feature accessible by pressing the L button. The page emphasizes the 4 MB expansion RAM compatibility for high-resolution graphics, noting that while the release date in Japan is unannounced, it will be available overseas in November. It assures players that the game can still be enjoyed without the expansion RAM, likely in a standard 64DD mode. This page is dedicated to Extreme G2, the sequel to the high-speed, futuristic racing game. It highlights the game's blend of racing and shooting action, boasting even faster speeds and more intricate course designs than its predecessor. The article mentions significant improvements to the graphics and an expanded number of courses. Players can look forward to piloting bikes equipped with new weapon systems and engaging in 4-player races, including battle modes. Developed by Acclaim Japan, Extreme G2 was planned for release in late 1998 and supports both the controller pack and Rumble Pack. The page also features a section showcasing a bike profile, using Muga as an example, detailing its stats and encouraging players to create driver profiles. The overall impression is that Extreme G2 aims to deliver a more visually impressive and exhilarating racing experience. This page is a preview of the N64 game 64 Ozumo 2 focusing on its story mode. The story mode allows you to create an original wrestler and guide them to the top rank in the sumo world, starting from the lowest ranks. You can customize your wrestler's face, skin tone, and hair, tailoring them to your liking. The game emphasizes building your wrestler from the ground up, learning new techniques and improving stats. Screenshots showcase the story mode menu options like story and training, along with character customization and in-game sumo action. The page highlights the depth of the story mode experience, where player choice and wrestler development are key to success. This page focuses on improving your special moves in the Japanese exclusive N64 game 64 Grand Sumo 2. The article explains that by consistently using techniques in matches, you can level them up. Specifically, it mentions the tease or thrusting move can be enhanced, increasing its power, technique, and speed. Screenshots illustrate gameplay and menu screens showing move upgrades. There's also a brief section hinting at relationship elements with female characters, showing a scene where the player character, named Dream 64, is spoken to by a girl. The overall message is to train your wrestler and climb to the top of the sumo ranks. The next page introduces One Guy Monster, a monster-raising simulation game for the N64, announcing its release date as November 27th. Published by Bottom Up, it will be priced at 6,980 yen. The page highlights that players will raise monsters from eggs, take them on adventures, and search for treasure. You select a boy or girl character at the start and name them before beginning your monster adventure. The screenshots show character selection screens, monster eggs, and gameplay scenes, with menus and a small monster character. The game seems focused on nurturing your monster and exploring the world with it. This page showcases a special sticker sheet, Volume 27, from 64Dream magazine, focusing on Zelda and Ogre, claiming to be super masterpiece stickers. It highlights the newly designed title logo for The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, which is also written in Japanese as. The sheet includes various character stickers and item stickers from Ocarina of Time, such as Link, Princess Zelda, Astolphos, and ocarinas. There are also sections with stickers featuring Mario characters and Banjo-Kazooie. Additionally, there are sticker labels for game cartridges, controller packs, and general use, including some with pre-written messages like, "Let's go," "Thank you," and "Nice to meet you." Game titles mentioned for cartridge labels are The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, City Tour Grand Prix All Japan GT Championship, likely a Japan-only racing game, and Kurato Kaiketsu 64 Tantaiden, another Japan-only game, possibly an adventure or mystery game. The next page appears to be largely blank, with a column of vertically written Japanese text on the right side margin. The magazine's editorial team is introduced, comprised of 5 members with distinct gaming preferences. Mashi, the editor-in-chief, focuses on Nintendo and Konami software, enjoys sports games, and wants more Super Robot Wars ports. Kei Shosa, the deputy editor, handles strategy articles and is playing Ogre Battle 64, hoping for a Resident Evil N64 port. Chizuru, the secretary, specializes in puzzle games and wants Resident Evil 2 on N64. Mokyo, the caretaker, enjoys Gal and robot games, is playing Kisetsu wo Dakishimete, and hopes for a Desailin port. Fukami, the librarian, prefers fighting games, is playing Bushido Blade, and hopes for a Hydlide port. The magazine encourages reader submissions of gameplay ideas, illustrations, and questions, focusing on game strategies and interesting playstyles. This page is about the N64 game Getter Love, a party game focused on romance. It's highlighted as a highly popular game within the magazine editorial department, even surpassing titles like GoldenEye 007 and Mario Kart 64 in terms of its addictive nature. The page details what kind of game Getter Love is, stating it's a party game for 1 to 4 players, developed by Hudson and released on December 4th. It utilizes 96 MB of memory and supports the Rumble Pack and Controller Pack. Gameplay-wise, Getter Love is described as a 4-player battle party game where players become male students at Panda High School and aim to get a girlfriend faster than the other 3 players during a 2-week summer break. The target girls are 7 female students in the same grade, and the player chooses which girl to pursue. The page introduces 2 characters. Getter number 0 Morimura Shizuku, described as a sickly but kind and intelligent girl, considered a mandatory character in each game according to internal magazine rules. Getter number 1 Shirai Ayumi, portrayed as carefree and popular, liking karaoke and current trends among high school girls. Finally, there's a section discussing the difficulty of getting love in the game, suggesting it's not easy and requires a determined approach, contrasting desire and jealousy as key emotions in the game's romantic pursuits. This page delves into a lively discussion about a dating sim game, though the exact title isn't explicitly mentioned. The Live the Getter section features a humorous back and forth between characters known as Getter 0, Getter 1, Getter 2, and Getter 3, as they dissect the game's mechanics, character appeal, and in-game scenarios, including renaming characters Rotten Idiot if you lose battles and events like C-dates. The page also includes several quirky rankings related to the game. The Play ranking lists Getter 0, Getter 1, Getter 3, and Getter 2 based on in-game achievements. The Popular Girl ranking highlights the game's heroines, Meifa, Amamiya Kiyoshi, and Mori Murasaki, with brief descriptions emphasizing their appeal. Conversely, the Uncool ranking humorously lists in-game situations deemed less desirable, such as being surpassed before a C-date or earning the Rotten Idiot nickname. Character profiles are given for Getter 2, Tsuduki Hana, described as a reggae-loving, Osaka-style girl with natural charm, and Getter 3, Minagawa Makoto, portrayed as a cool and slightly prickly tsundere character. Finally, this month's Nemesis CPU introduces Setsushu, an enemy character who, despite appearing weak, is actually strong and enjoys using a powerful move called Galactica Magnum. The page concludes with a message encouraging readers to follow the magazine's game coverage to stay informed about upcoming releases. The Ginjin Advance Experience Squad article encourages players bored with CPU opponents to embrace human versus human battles. It suggests enhancing the experience through role-playing, trash-talking, and maintaining a constant state of readiness for attack or defense. The article also emphasizes good sportsmanship, advocating against attacking defenseless players, discouraging excuses for losses, and respecting time limits. Two character profiles, Kei Shoujo and A Daijin, exemplify different playstyles. Kei Shoujo, a surprise attack unit, favors the MP38, while A Daijin, a heavy equipment crusher, prefers the USSOCOM, highlighting distinct approaches to combat. Finally, the article invites readers to submit their own challenges and gameplay tips to the editorial department. This page highlights two Nintendo 64 games, starting with GoldenEye 007, which it hails as the king of multiplayer combat and a must-play title. The article humorously suggests playing it to understand human nature, emphasizing its multiplayer appeal. It gives gameplay tips such as using the grenade launcher effectively by aiming up and down in places like temples, and using crouching to make yourself a smaller target in areas like libraries, highlighting these as fun strategies. The page also features Winback, a game praised for its realistic character movements that will satisfy even hardcore fans. It's described as a special forces game where players can experience the thrill of infiltration and hostage rescue, drawing comparisons to real-world special forces like the US's Delta Force and Britain's SAS. The article mentions that Winback also features multiplayer modes with various rules, emphasizing strategic gameplay using cover and diverse weaponry, promising a tense and immersive combat experience. Finally, at the bottom, there are sections for player profiles or possibly reviews from M Sergeant Major and F Sergeant Major, with their preferred game types, personalities, and favorite weapons listed, suggesting community engagement and diverse player preferences. The 64Dream Second Anniversary Keyword Dictionary provides a humorous look into the magazine's inner workings. HR section entries include Hasusagyo, dispatch work, hamburger, lunch, hit point, editor's declining health, and introductions to editors Fukami Akira and Fukumoto Akihiro. The MA section covers Mate Enki, release date delays, Macintosh, the unreliable office computer, Mashi, desk editor, Matsu, map strategies, Manga, comics boom, Misuru, mistakes, Minami Maho, designer, and former editor Michima. It also introduces Machi and his role in editorial meetings, his Machi no Tsukomi rebuttals, and Machi no Bokeh jokes. Finally, the dictionary touches on common occurrences such as Naosu, fixing Macs, Hanto desune, delay reactions, Hozo en Shitsu, data loss, Henjin, strange industry people, and issues with data preservation. This document is a glossary and interviews from an editorial department. The glossary contains Japanese phrases and slang. The Kei Sato interview highlights his positive outlook, enjoyment of teamwork, and personal health goals, while also referencing specific magazine issues from 1997 and 1998. The Chizuru interview recounts her experiences balancing work and university, including memorable recreational activities like visiting Tokyo Disneyland and playing with fish. She also expresses an interest in fitness and maintaining good posture, and remembers a specific issue from July 1998. The games Mario Kart 64 and Wonder Project J2 are mentioned. This page is the 13th installment of a column titled Rope Play, which seems to be about RPGs, referencing the Haruki Murakami novel Dance, Dance, Dance. The author discusses the RPG genre and how it's often combined with other genres in games, which can make categorization tricky for editors. They mention that labeling a game as an RPG can be beneficial for marketing. The page features a game specification box highlighting The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. It lists the developer as Nintendo, the release date as November 14th, the price as 6,800 yen, the ROM size as 256 megabytes, and genre as 3D action-adventure. It notes it is for one player and supports the Rumble Pack. The screenshot shown seems to be from the map screen of Ocarina of Time. There's a Tell Me Mr. Kanagami section, where a reader asks about the editorial staff's working hours. The response explains that editors start around 1 p.m. and finish around 9 p.m. or later, often working on weekends due to deadlines and waiting for material and checks from manufacturers. They also mention using downtime to work on other tasks. A mini-feature Autumn Reading section presents book recommendations from editors classified by their department: English literature, French literature, Chinese literature. Finally, there is a This Month's Alcohol section featuring Shaxing wine, described as a Chinese rice wine with a pleasant aroma and flavor. It's suggested as a good pairing with games. This page is a promotional spread for two major Nintendo 64 titles. The first game showcased is Banjo-Kazooie, highlighting its refreshing banjo's cheerful rhythm, and mentioning it comes from Great Britain, referring to its developer Rare. The text describes the music as a cheerful melody, played by Banjo and Kazooie. The second game featured is The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, emphasizing its ocarina melody transcending time. The page asks if you can hear something, and it is the refreshing rhythm of banjo and the nostalgic ocarina melody that resonates in your heart, asking who is playing it, implying it's both Link and the player. The page promotes these two highly anticipated games as Nintendo's big software releases for the end of 1998, urging readers to leave it to these two titles. This page is dedicated to The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, highlighting the anticipation for its release with a countdown of 31 days. The article promotes enjoying ocarina play for long autumn nights, focusing on the game's unique ocarina gameplay. It mentions a revised release date of November 21st, Saturday, changed from a previous date of November 14th. The preview mentions a sample ROM being available to the magazine editors, and emphasizes the enjoyment of playing the ocarina in various locations within Hyrule, like Kakariko Village and Hyrule Field. Screenshots showcase characters, including Link and Ganondorf. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time features the ocarina as a key gameplay element. Players use it to warp, trigger effects, and solve puzzles by playing specific melodies. There are two types: the Fairy Ocarina, used for communication, and the Ocarina of Time, a royal treasure with the power to open the sacred realm. Gameplay involves using the A and C buttons to play notes, with characters like Impa teaching Link melodies. Impa, Zelda's attendant, is also discussed, along with the open nature of Kakariko Village and encounters with guards in Hyrule Castletown. The game, a 3D action-adventure, will be released by Nintendo on November 21st for 6,800 yen, with a game size of 256 M for one player, and supports the Rumble Pack. This page is a preview of The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, from a magazine published in March 1997, just before the game's release. The article highlights the game's controls and various gameplay mechanics. It emphasizes that in Miyamoto's games, controls are intuitive and easy to use, similar to Mario and Arwing in Star Fox. The page details the function of the A button for actions, the B button for using the sword, and the Z trigger button for Z targeting, a new system that allows focusing on enemies or points of interest. It also explains how the R trigger button is used to ready Link's shield. The C buttons are for item selection and usage. Screenshots showcase different in-game screens like the item menu, field view, ocarina screen, and map screen, providing a glimpse into the game's world and interface. The article conveys excitement for the game's imminent release and encourages players to look forward to experiencing it. This page is all about the land of Hyrule from The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. It's showcasing the different locations you'll explore in the game. It mentions how vast Hyrule is, even bigger than previous Zelda games, and describes various key areas. Locations like Death Mountain, home to Gorons and Bombflowers, Zora's Domain ruled by King Zora, Hyrule Castle, Gerudo Valley, Lon Lon Ranch where you meet Talon, the Lost Woods, and Kokiri Forest where Link starts his adventure, and the Deku Tree dungeon is located, are all highlighted. Lake Hylalia with its fishing spot and Hyrule Field, perfect for riding Epona, are also featured. There's a section about a chicken carrying mystery, perhaps referring to a minigame in the chicken coop. Finally, it introduces Rauru, an ancient sage who appears in the Temple of Time, and talks about his role in guiding Link through his journey across time. Overall, it's a great overview of the world you'll be adventuring in during Ocarina of Time. This page showcases the minigames Fishing, Target Practice, and Bowling from a Hyrulean specialty location. For 100 rupees, players can enjoy these diversions. The fishing section highlights the Rumble Pack feature, enhancing the fishing experience, describing it as lure fishing rather than bait fishing, suggesting a more technical challenge. Catching big fish can update records, and fishing is possible even at night. Target Practice is introduced as an adult-oriented game, where players use a slingshot to shoot at rupees flowing in water for points, with different colored rupees awarding varying points. It hints at the addictive nature of the game and mentions bows becoming available later in the game. Mystery Bowling is described as a unique bowling alley using new items and coffin-lined lanes. The goal is to aim for the central target at the end of the lane, and it is presented as a mix between darts and bowling, offering prizes for strikes. The bottom section discusses the change in Hyrule Town over 7 years, contrasting the lively market and game-filled town of the child era with the desolate, re-dead-infested ruins of the adult era. It poses questions about the fate of the townspeople and Hyrule Castle, emphasizing the stark contrast between the peaceful past and the grim present, signified by the change in background music. This page showcases key items from The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Featured items for young Link include the Deku Stick, Fairy Slingshot, and the Returning Boomerang, useful for combat and puzzle solving. Bombs, specifically bomb flowers, are essential for destroying obstacles and revealing secrets. Deku Nuts stun enemies. The ocarina is crucial, enabling song-based actions and teleportation. For adult Link, the hookshot allows grappling, and the hammer was shown at E3. But its final inclusion is uncertain. Magic is confirmed via a magic meter, with details promised later. Other items, including event-based ones assigned to C buttons, are also mentioned, with the Tamago egg noted. Bottles are highlighted as vital for gameplay. This page previews The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, focusing on the early game experience. It highlights a dangerous dungeon called the Ice Cave, filled with traps, showing screenshots of Link navigating icy environments and being wary of falling ice. The article talks about the game's quiet opening sequence, starting with character name input and Navi calling Link, and the beginning of the adventure, as requested by the Deku Tree. It mentions the initial objective is to find the Kokiri Sword and Deku Shield, which are not immediately available. The page also details the forest training area, where players can practice sword skills, cut grass to collect rupees, and learn about vertical and horizontal sword slashes, and enjoy the interactive environment, like cutting down signs. This page offers early insights into The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, showcasing gameplay experiences. It explores 3 key areas: the Lost Woods, the Deku Tree, and the progression to Hyrule Castle. The Lost Woods section details the maze-like environment and encourages thorough exploration. The Deku Tree is highlighted as the first dungeon, emphasizing puzzle solving and immersive sound design. Defeating the Deku Tree boss grants the Forest Spirit Stone, opening the path to Hyrule Field. The page showcases classic Zelda elements, like item usage against bosses, and promotes the game as an essential N64 title. A Hyrule Market shopkeeper cameo praises the location. The article acts as a prelude to a strategy guide for the next Zelda game's initial dungeon. The next page is an advert for the action game Banjo-Kazooie, known in Japan as Banjo-Kazooie no Daibuken. Published by Nintendo, the Japanese release date is confirmed as December 6th, priced at 6,800 yen. And it's a single-player game. The advert promotes the game as the perfect Christmas present, and features artwork of Banjo, Kazooie, Gruntilda, and other characters in a jungle setting. This page is an introduction to the game Banjo-Kazooie. It highlights that this action-adventure game was created to surpass even Miyamoto's works. The game is described as being the highest quality software since Super Mario 64 for the N64, focusing on adventure, unexpected discoveries, and enjoyable gameplay. The release date is officially decided, and players are eagerly awaiting the 64 megabytes cartridge. The page then introduces the main characters. First, Banjo and Kazooie are presented together as a duo. Kazooie is described as a loudmouth Breagull who forms a team with Banjo. Banjo is a bear who loves dancing and sleeping, has a good sense of taste, enjoys disco dancing, and his favorite food is honey. Next, Gruntilda is introduced as a selfish and mean witch who loves doing bad things. She is trying to steal people's beauty to make it her own. Gruntilda is Gruntilda's younger sister, but has a kind heart, the opposite of her sister. Tooty is Banjo's cute younger sister and a friend to him. Banjo is very fond of his sister. Mumbo Jumbo is a shaman, and Gruntilda's former teacher from witch school, described as a weirdo. Finally, Bottles is Tooty's mole friend, who will give advice to help Banjo and Kazooie on their adventure. This page highlights various actions in Banjo-Kazooie. The page title encourages players to quickly learn the many actions available in the game. It mentions that each stage introduces new actions, and simply memorizing them all can be challenging. The page showcases a selection of these actions, with screenshots of Banjo performing them. These actions include walking, swimming, crouching, running, climbing up and down, flapping jump, likely a double jump, a spinning jump, woodpecker attack, rolling attack, beak attack, and talon trot. Screenshots are also included to demonstrate some of these actions in the game environment. This page is a guide for the game Banjo-Kazooie, titled Rescue Tooty Who Was Kidnapped. New. It explains the basic steps to progress in the game. The guide is broken down into 4 numbered sections. Firstly, it talks about learning basic actions at the start of the adventure in Kolkul Mountain Foot from Bottles. You need to learn these actions from Bottles to be able to use them. Secondly, it mentions going to Gruntilda's lair. After learning the basic actions, the next step is to head to Gruntilda's lair. This area is described as a hub world that connects to new adventures. Thirdly, the guide explains the importance of finding jigsaw pieces, jigsawsies, to enter stages. Each stage requires a set number of jigsaw pieces to unlock. The first piece is said to be easily found in the Mumbo's Mountain stage. Finally, it discusses collecting musical notes, ONPU, within stages. These musical notes are essential for opening ONPU doors inside stages. Each stage has 100 musical notes to collect. The guide emphasizes that the game is about exploring stages, finding jigsaw pieces and musical notes to progress and ultimately rescue Tooty. This page introduces 3 stages from Banjo-Kazooie. It starts with Kuru Kuru Mountain Foothills, which is described as the starting point where players learn basic actions by finding Bottles. Next is Grunty's Lair, presented as a central hub connecting to various stages and filled with secrets. Finally, it showcases Mumbo's Mountain as a fun and challenging stage for beginners, requiring puzzle solving and featuring the character Mumbo Jumbo, who can transform Banjo. The page highlights the beginning of a grand adventure and the enjoyable gameplay of Banjo-Kazooie. The next page focuses on the game Banjo-Kazooie. It introduces 2 stages: Treasure Trove Cove, referred to as Otakara Zaku Zaku Beach, which is described as a resort-like southern stage, and Clanker's Cavern, called Clanker no Dukutsu. Treasure Trove Cove is depicted as a sunny seaside stage where you can swim in the ocean and climb mountains. The page points out the starting location of the stage and hints at finding jiggies, suggesting they are hidden somewhere. It also mentions flying high to get a good view of the stage and potentially discover new things. Clanker's Cavern is presented as a water-based stage, emphasizing the importance of mastering swimming. It suggests finding the entrance to this stage might be challenging and highlights the role of musical notes, ONPU, stating that collecting them is an adventure in itself and that they are needed to open note doors later in the game. The page also points to a large face, Clanker, who seems to be in trouble and needs assistance, implying this is a key element of the stage. The text ends by stating that no matter the stage, you should not lose. This page features Let's Smash Tennis, a comical tennis game for the N64 developed by Hudson, which was released only in Japan. The page serves as a guide on how to unlock various in-game items, specifically clothing and accessories for your character. It lists categories of items for the head, upper body, lower body, shoes, gloves, rackets, and accessories. For each item, the guide specifies the opponent you must face or the condition you need to fulfill in the game to unlock it. This page is a manga strip titled Dream Drunker, featuring characters resembling Link from the Legend of Zelda series and Bowser from the Super Mario series. The comic begins with Link facing Bowser, who refers to himself as Koopa's uncle. Bowser boasts about his power-up and decides to teach Link his special move, the Fire Breath. Link is confused and then gets hit by Bowser's Fire Breath. Bowser emphasizes the importance of guts in using the technique. The comic ends with Link seeming changed by the experience, suggesting a humorous take on character development within these game universes. The text at the top mentions it is Nakane-sensei's 18th Zelda strip, featuring an adult Link scenario. This page from 64Dream magazine delves into the basics of the 64DD, Nintendo 64's disk drive add-on. A reader question clarifies that the 64DD is an external storage device using disks, unlike the standard ROM cartridges. It highlights the key feature of 64DD disks being able to both read and write data, setting it apart from CD-ROMs of the time, and they are called Nintendo 64 Dynamic Data Disks. The capacity is stated to be 64 megabytes, with half of that for save data, and it was hoped that games on disk would be cheaper. Super Mario 64 and The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, are mentioned to give context to data sizes. The article touches on the repeated delays of the 64DD launch, attributing it to software development issues and expressing a desire for high-quality games upon release. Another reader question asks about the maximum polygon count the N64 can handle. The response states the official minimum figure was 100,000 polygons. Comparisons are made to the PlayStation's 360,000 polygons and the Dreamcast's impressive 3 million polygons, while the Saturn's figure was unannounced. It's clarified that these numbers represent theoretical maximums, and actual in-game polygon counts will be lower due to factors like textures, shading, and music. The article concludes by downplaying the importance of raw polygon counts and acknowledging the Dreamcast's graphical prowess. This page features a report from Mr. Obuchi, a Japanese correspondent for Electronic Gaming Monthly, focusing on Rare Limited and their relationship with Nintendo. Mr. Obuchi introduces himself as the reporter who will be covering N64 news. The article explores Rare's history, starting from their beginnings as Ultimate Play the game in the 70s, with early titles like Jetpack and Attic Attack. It then describes their move to 8-bit and eventually advanced 3D graphics. Rare's strong partnership with Nintendo is highlighted, alongside their technical skills which led to games like Super Donkey Kong, Killer Instinct, and Killer Instinct Gold. The article stresses the success of Rare's N64 games like Blast Corps, GoldenEye 007, Diddy Kong Racing, and mentions anticipated titles such as Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, and Perfect Dark. It's noted that Nintendo owns 25% of Rare's stock. Rare is said to be developing new hits, including Banjo-Kazooie and Conker's Great Adventure, which were already successful in America. The article ends by expressing excitement for Rare's future N64 games, and teases titles like Conker, 12 Tales, and Banjo-Tooie. Two letters from the Readers Forum discuss Pokemon battles. The first, from Osaka, criticizes players who prioritize only the strongest Pokemon and repetitive strategies like spamming certain moves, advocating for diverse team compositions, and tactical approaches beyond simply using the most powerful creatures. The writer believes that limiting choices and strategies diminishes the fun. The second letter, from Kagawa Prefecture, questions the overemphasis on winning in battles, suggesting that it restricts gameplay and leads to monotonous, similar styles. This reader argues that the true goal of Pokemon battles should be enjoyment and playing with one's preferred Pokemon, implying a desire for a more relaxed and varied approach to the game rather than pure competitive optimization. This page from the Rokuyan Dream Club section is dedicated to reader opinions and feedback. A significant portion is focused on the long-awaited Zelda, likely The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, with readers expressing their anticipation for its release after numerous delays and their excitement for it to finally arrive. There's a discussion piece titled, "The Arrival of the 100 Million General Critic Era," where readers share their thoughts on game criticism. Some express a sentiment that there's excessive criticism in gaming, and the industry might be overly focused on business aspects. They feel that game enjoyment should be more about simple fun, lamenting the current state of game criticism and industry trends. One reader mentions F0X and criticizes the speed feeling is weak and 1 hour of practice time feeling too short, leading to boredom and sadness. The From Reader Questionnaires ERS section compiles responses from readers to various survey questions. These cover diverse topics like what genres readers enjoy, RPG, simulation, adventure, what price point is acceptable, preferred game difficulty, not too easy or hard, and elements they find fun in games, humor, surprises, freshness. One reader mentions wanting to make a Pokemon world for their children who play Pokemon on N64 and Game Boy. Another reader inquires about Mother 3. There are also comments on the magazine itself, with readers requesting more coverage of various game titles and wanting poster inclusions. This page from 64Dream magazine has a Dream Impression section which talks about enjoying 4-player battles. There are reviews for 3 games. First up is FIFA Road to World Cup 98. The reviewer from Nagano Prefecture, Mr. Yanagisawa, is very impressed, calling it beyond reality. He mentions it being called the #1 soccer game and disagrees with that, finding it better than Konami's soccer series due to its familiar controls and gameplay. He emphasizes the World Cup France '98 aspect and says soccer fans will naturally love it. Next is Pokemon Stadium, reviewed by Mr. Sakaue from Aichi Prefecture. He was most anticipating battling with Pokemon from the tournament participants, and was impressed by the Pokemon Stadium at the 64 Mario Stadium National Tournament. He trained Pokemon to level 5055, and mentions that the Pokemon status is overwhelming. He notes that while battling Centaurs is quick defeat, his own Duke Trio is strong. He advises training strong Pokemon and using them in 64. He is excited for the hot summer battles. Finally, Wave Race 64 is reviewed by Ms. Sato from Hyogo Prefecture. She says she became addicted to it in the summer. She describes the graphics as beautiful and feeling like you're in America. She appreciates the tension and says setting is essential for enjoying the game, highlighting the 4-player mode. She also mentions the feeling of exhilaration when getting a great boost, and the announcer's voice adding to the excitement. This page is dedicated to reader submissions and impressions, spotlighting 3 racing games on the Nintendo 64. The first game discussed is Wave Race 64, where a player from Osaka enjoys the combo-based gameplay and responsive 3D stick controls, while recognizing some levels are challenging for players not accustomed to action titles. Next, Mario Kart 64 is featured, with a player from Ehime initially preferring the Super Famicom Mario Kart, but then appreciating the N64 version, especially when playing with 4 people and exploring the various race classes. They recommend it as a worthwhile purchase, especially at a lower price. Lastly, Diddy Kong Racing is presented by a player from Fukuoka as a definitive comical racing game, drawing comparisons to Mario Kart, but highlighting its own unique appeal, enjoyable single-player mode, and engaging 4-player battles. They also mention that Rareware, the developer, is currently developing Perfect Dark using similar game engine technologies. This page is a software guide for N64 games, highlighting year-end price changes in Akihabara. It features popularity rankings and rumors about upcoming releases. The page lists many N64 games with their genres, prices, and manufacturers. Some of the popular titles mentioned include FZEROX, GoldenEye 007, Star Fox 64, Mario Kart 64, Super Mario 64, Pokemon Stadium, Wonder Project J2, Yoshi's Story, Diddy Kong Racing, and 1080 Degrees Snowboarding. The monthly popularity ranking discusses how Mario Kart 64 was top last month, but FZEROX took the crown with its overwhelming power. GoldenEye 007 and Pokemon Stadium are also highlighted as very popular. The investigation report suggests Pokemon Stadium's popularity might be due to N64 users also being Pokemon fans, and mentions, "Let's smash!" as a game being investigated next month. Rumors of upcoming games include Weetrix, Nightmare Creatures, Oni 64, and 64 Sumo 2. The page concludes by emphasizing that Zelda is a must-have game to look out for. This page is a third-party special interview and introduces a feature in the magazine. The title of the feature is Do Your Best, Third Party. The page explains that due to the postponement of Nintendo Space World to the following May, the magazine decided to focus on third-party developers for the N64. This special feature includes interviews with 6 companies that are expected to release N64 software within the year, and highlights their enthusiasm and passion for the platform. The names Kemco, Bottom Up, Hudson, and Imagineer are prominently displayed, likely representing some of these featured companies. This page features an interview with Mr. Nakamoto from Hudson Soft, discussing the current state of the N64. Hudson believes that the number of engaging and replayable games for the N64 has been steadily increasing, making them feel like valuable additions to a collection, much like hardcover books on a shelf. The interview touches upon Hudson's philosophy for game development on the N64, and they mention their Invitation Cloth team, which focuses on creating user-friendly development tools. Hudson sees themselves not just as game developers, but also as a company providing essential tools to empower other developers, believing this will ultimately contribute to the growth and success of the N64 platform. The page also highlights 2 upcoming N64 titles from Hudson, scheduled for release within the year. Getter Love, set for December 4th, and Bakuretsu Muteki Bangayo, planned for December 26th. A screenshot from a game is also visible, with the text, I am about to take a break now. This page features interviews with Hudson and Konami regarding their N64 strategies. Hudson emphasizes its role in expanding the N64 market by creating and distributing game development tools. They focus on innovative game development, offering developer support, and expressing optimism about the console's future. The Bomberman character is featured. Konami's segment is an email Q&A. They anticipate an exciting year-end sales battle. They highlight their focus on Ganbare Goemon, Mystical Ninja, detailing its features like 2-player gameplay, new attacks, and improved controls. They also discuss promotional plans, including TV commercials. Progress on Dracula, Castlevania 64, and Hybrid Heaven is ongoing. Konami confirms multiple N64 titles are in development and pledges continued support to N64 users. The release date for Mystical Ninja, Goemon's Great Adventure, is December 23rd. The Goemon character is featured. This page is an interview with Taiki Ono from Victor Interactive Software discussing PAC-InSoft's plans for the N64. They see their Game Boy titles, Harvest Moon and River King, the legendary fish of the Nush River, as big successes and are now moving to the N64 platform. They are bringing 2 popular titles to the N64, with River King, the legendary fish of the Nush River 64, launching in November, and Harvest Moon 2 coming next February. Ono emphasizes heartwarming and nature as key words for their games, highlighting the realistic graphics and educational aspects of River King 64, aiming for family-friendly games. They are inspired by the success of games like Banjo-Kazooie and The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and want to expand the N64 market. The page includes a screenshot from River King 64 and a character illustration. Imagineer plans to release 6 N64 games by the end of the year, targeting the top spot in releases. Director Mr. Toshiro highlights a strategy to offer diverse titles for all gamers, leveraging the N64's strengths. They aim for roughly 3 releases per month, including Adventure, Kirado Kaiketsu, 64 Tantaidan, Racing, Zen Nihon GT Senshuken, Puzzle, Weetrix, RPG, Zool, Fighting, Fighting Cup, and potentially winter sports or Star Wars themed, Snowspeeder, games. Imagineer also intends to bring excellent overseas software to Japan. The goal is to invigorate the N64 market by addressing the perceived lack of available titles, with a focus on variety and quality. The releases are primarily scheduled for the final quarter of the year. This page is a special interview with Kemco, discussing their new titles for the N64 and Game Boy. Kemco expresses their long-term commitment to Nintendo and describes their approach to game development, emphasizing fun and new gameplay experiences. They mention 3 N64 titles scheduled for release within the year: Knife Edge, King Hill 64 Extreme Snowboarding, and Top Gear Overdrive. The interview touches upon the visual enhancements and gameplay improvements possible with the N64's hardware, including the expansion pack. They are aiming to deliver games with high-quality graphics, sound, and enjoyable gameplay. The interview also highlights the idea of creating new and interesting gameplay rules, The page features a profile of Seijiro Okubara, managing director of Kotobuki System, Chemco, who speaks about his passion for games since playing Mario Bros. As a child. A screenshot from Top Gear Overdrive is included, showcasing the game's graphics. The Japanese release dates for the games are listed as Knife Edge, November 27th, King Hill 64, Extreme Snowboarding, December 18th, and Top Gear Overdrive, December 18th. This page is a third-party special interview with Bottom Up, a relatively young company for the N64. The interview focuses on their expectations for the N64's year-end lineup and future developments. Okamoto Shigeru, the representative director of Bottom Up, discusses how the N64 market is improving and their promotional strategies, including TV commercials. They are developing a sports game for the 64DD, and within the interview, they mention their games One Guy Monsters and 64 Uzumu 2, which are both slated for release on November 27th. Okamoto mentions other games like Hey You Pikachu, Doraemon 2, Goemon, and Ogre Battle 3 as examples of titles that will boost the N64's popularity and emphasizes their commitment to creating quality games for younger users. He also touches upon the idea of linking N64 games with Game Boy and developing communication features. Bottom Up expresses optimism about the N64's future and encourages users to look forward to their games. This page from volume 27 of the magazine is a Q&A section dedicated to Nintendo 64 related questions. One question asks about the game release schedule after Zelda, referring to The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, while another question addresses the reason for the delay of Ocarina of Time. Banjo-Kazooie is mentioned with a release date of December 6th for 6,800 yen. There is an apology for the Zelda delay, and a revised release date is confirmed as November 21st. Screenshots of both The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Banjo-Kazooie are visible on this page. This Q&A section focuses on the N64 game The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. It's positioned as a major title aimed at a broad audience, including children and adults who played previous installments. The game's high quality is expected to boost N64 sales globally. The promotional campaign includes a commercial featuring 7 celebrities, with the goal of showcasing the game's dynamic gameplay, with the CM airing from October 10th. The gameplay emphasizes ease of use, drawing inspiration from Super Mario 64 with an improved attention system and user-friendly map design. The developers aim for player immersion in the world and story, and are targeting over 1 million copies sold. Screenshots provide specific gameplay instructions, such as how to use sword attacks. In this Nintendo Q&A, the upcoming The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time for Nintendo 64 is discussed. Koji Kondo is confirmed as the composer, aiming for a blend of nostalgia and fresh themes. The game will feature a fishing minigame with realistic feedback, horse riding, and even chicken tossing as gameplay elements. Estimated playtime is a significant 70 to 80 hours, emphasizing exploration and player-driven discovery over a rushed playthrough. Nintendo currently has no plans for official merchandise, but anticipates third-party releases, including stationery, ocarina replicas, and figures like a Ganondorf statue shown at Shoshinkai 97. A sidebar also acknowledges the widespread popularity of Pokémon in America, particularly with younger audiences. This Q&A section covers Nintendo 64 and Game Boy game news. Shigeru Miyamoto is likely working on a new project after completing Zelda, potentially for a new system. The Zelda cartridge will be gold in America but gray in Japan, similar to the Famicom version. A sequel to Pokémon Stadium is in development for cartridge release, aiming to include all 151 Pokémon. Finally, Pokémon Pikachu sales are extremely high, with over 8.5 million units shipped, and are expected to surpass 10 million. The popularity of Pokémon is highlighted, including the anime, merchandise, and the Game Boy games Red and Blue. This Q&A section covers several Nintendo-related topics. Pikachu Genki Detsu, a sound recognition game, is still under development, with Pikachu Genki Detsu as its working title, inspired by a popular picture book series. The microphone design was changed from a headphone style to a neck-worn version to fit all ages. The development of the game Jungle Taitei, Kimba the White Lion, has been cancelled due to issues with expanding game specifications and a notice from Tezuka Productions. Finally, the F-Zero X course edit feature is finished and will be released with the 64DD, allowing players to create and share custom courses. This document discusses various Nintendo 64 topics. F1 World Grand Prix, developed by Video System and Paradigm with Shigeru Miyamoto's graphic direction, is released in North America and Europe, with Nintendo holding global sales rights. The Japanese release date is pending. The 64DD's delay is attributed to insufficient software, aiming for a strong launch with titles like Mario Artist and anticipated games such as Zelda and Banjo, with a projected release around the following June. The RAM pack will release in Japan alongside or before the 64DD, priced around 4,000 yen, and will enhance games like Top Drive. Finally, Controller Bros refers to the various colored N64 controller variations, inspired by Game Boy Color and conceived by Shigeru Miyamoto, with 6 available colors. This Q&A section discusses the Game Boy Color and its upcoming Zelda title. The commercial was likely filmed in Los Angeles to capture a bright sky, aiming for international appeal. The initial color launch differed between America, purple only, and Japan, multiple colors. Production was increasing to 1 million units monthly. The color selection process involved prototypes and feedback from various Nintendo departments. Mario Club, a group of testers, recommends software, ensuring quality and commercial success, which has been a practice for 10 years. Finally, the Zelda title, initially with a tentative name, was revealed as The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening DX, a color-compatible version with added content, scheduled for a December release. The magazine's N64 question box addresses reader inquiries. Developers are increasingly shifting to Game Boy Color due to its popularity and potential N64 linkage. The Charlene sound effect was removed from commercials because it was less effective than the January Nintendo jingle at quickly identifying N64 software advertisements. A Children's Go tournament is being held in Tokyo, organized by Nintendo to promote Go, with Game Boy Color and N64 prizes. The Nintendo homepage showcases Go-related products. Readers are encouraged to submit N64-related questions. The next page is a news report from the Tokyo Game Show 98 Autumn in Tokyo, highlighting the event's success and the impressive number of attendees. The report notes that this was the 5th Tokyo Game Show, and it attracted over 100,000 visitors daily, making it one of the largest game shows globally. The article mentions the Dreamcast and its high recognition among attendees, and also notes the presence of Game Boy Color software. The page highlights booths from Asmik Ace and Atlas. Asmik Ace is showcasing J-League Tactics Soccer for the N64, describing it as a authentic soccer simulation game with development at 80% completion. They emphasize the detailed stadium design. Atlas is featuring Snowboard Kids 2, highlighting the 4-player battles and new items and moves in the game. Booth companions in sexy costumes are also mentioned as being personally impressive. A game show report highlighted several N64 game booths. Imagineer showcased a variety of titles, including Zool, Killer Instinct 64, and Weetrix. Netbox booth featured Doraemon 2, Nobita, and the Rainbow Walk. Set for release by year-end, Capcom presented Magical Tetris Challenge featuring Mickey, with popular stage events. Culture Brain displayed Hiryu no Ken Stadium, Miryu Senyun Rises Again, releasing December 11th. Konami showcased Hybrid Heaven and Castlevania 64, praised for their gameplay. The report also covered the fulfilling shopping corner, with Konami's Konami Rukuji and Gamez shops drawing large crowds, especially for Puyo Puyo merchandise. This page reports on game booths from the Tokyo Game Show. Koei showcased Winback, a gunfighting action game where players could participate in tournaments. Takara had their booth showcasing the popular Choro Q64 Penny Racers game, part of their Jinsei Game, Life Game series, allowing up to 4 players. Taito showcased Bakushu Jinsei 64 Mezase, Resort O, Smiling Life 64 Aim for Resort King, a board game-style title where players aim to become resort kings by acquiring hotels and shops. Also shown was another Taito N64 title called Superman. Resort OU gameplay involves rolling dice and moving around a map, building hotels and shops to earn money and achieve goals in a resort-themed setting. Minigames and events are featured. The game show featured diverse booths highlighting upcoming games and hardware. Hudson's booth focused on N64 software like Let's Smash and Get a Love, primarily through surveys and playable demos in a designated area. Bandai showcased their WonderSwan handheld and a system linking GB cartridges to the N64. The Metaro booth centered on a robot battle tournament and merchandise. Companion reported on the Best Companion Award, focusing on the numerous costumed booth companions. Ubisoft presented N64 titles, such as Rayman 2. Hackensoft showcased Fishing Master 64 and Bokujo Monogatari 2, with a unique Fishing Master 64 guitar. Finally, the Ravel report discussed the rivalry between Sega and Sony, particularly regarding the Dreamcast and PlayStation, hinting at new hardware developments from both companies. This summary covers Nintendo-related news and product announcements. The 36th Amusement Machine Show in Tokyo showcased character-based games using N64 architecture. Nintendo was ranked number 1 by Nikkei Business, with the N64's success noted. A PCC D-ROM version of Nintendo Kanji Dictionary Big Dictionary, featuring interviews and promotional content, is set for release. The Bandai WonderSwan handheld, developed with Nintendo's involvement, will be unveiled, boasting a small, lightweight design, a 16-bit CPU, and 20 hours of playtime. The reader showcased custom-designed controllers. Finally, a Game Boy Color pre-release event will offer hands-on experience with upcoming games, including a pinball title and games from the Donkey Kong Land series. This page showcases a variety of topics related to Nintendo 64. Capcom is holding auditions for girls to appear in a commercial for the N64 game Magical Tetris Challenge, featuring Mickey, seeking talent aged 6 to 25 for filming in November at locations like Tokyo and Osaka. An event report covers a Let's Smash tournament, which is likely Let's Smash Tennis, held to celebrate the game's release. 64 players competed, with Keisuke Kato emerging as the champion and the Nintendo 64 team securing victory overall. Prizes included high-quality tennis rackets. The magazine also discusses the commercial for 64 Uzumo 2, featuring the sumo wrestler Honjia Miyaka stone statue. Filming is underway in a Tokyo studio, with the commercial expected to air in late November. A new product called Wide Boy 64 Color is introduced, designed to allow Game Boy Color games to be played on the Super Famicom console. Marketed towards developers and media, it's priced at 55,000 yen and precedes the release of the Game Boy Color itself. Lastly, the page features a reader's submission section and touches upon the ongoing issue of used game software sales, highlighting the growing conflict and legal battles between game manufacturers and retailers regarding this practice. The next page features a few different articles. At the top left, there's a piece about the Pokemon craze finally hitting America, questioning if Pikachu will conquer the US market. Moving to the right, there's a segment called Endu Collection, which seems to be a recurring feature, alongside an article about the Game Boy Color Clear Yellow Edition. In the center left, an event is highlighted celebrating a company's 20th anniversary, held at a hotel in the city. The center-right article is about infiltrating Ajioka's sample fair, noting it's the 47th event, and showcasing a large gathering of anticipated games for the end of the year. They mention upcoming Game Boy Color titles like Global Hexite and Pokemon Card Game, and N64 games planned for the year-end. At the bottom left, under Topics, there's an interesting piece about Kei Shoujo from the editorial department making their voice acting debut in Winback. Finally, at the bottom right, there's an apology and correction regarding a previous month's achievement announcement, specifically for the FZEROX Dream Cup, correcting an error in the results for the Mute City 3-track. This page spotlights Nintendo 64 news and reader contributions. Readers are seeking cool N64 websites, particularly for Mega Man fans, and highlight, "We love Nintendo 64. There's also mention of a unique Rainbow Road and 64Dream magazine page. An FZEROX tournament is announced, held at the Tokyo Institute of Technology Specialized School with Nintendo support on November 2nd and 3rd. The game is praised for its speed and precision. Reader-submitted controller pack storage ideas are featured, including using a chocolate box, a candle box, and a food wrap box. A short Star Fox comic strip rounds out the content, featuring a conversation between Fox and his father, with Falco's appearance. This page highlights the game Buck Bumble, an action shooting game for the N64 published by Ubisoft. It was slated for release in late 1998, with a price of 6,800 yen, and uses 96 MB of memory. The page refers to it as an insectoid encyclopedia, and it was showcased at the Tokyo Game Show. The page features illustrations of various insect enemies that appear in the game, spider, wheel cannon, transporter, wasp Mk1, and ant. Each insect description provides a small detail about their characteristics, such as the spider being good at ambushing in narrow places, the wheel cannon having heavy armor and powerful shots, and the wasp Mk1 being the foundation of the enemy's air force. Screenshots show in-game action, and there's also a photo from the Tokyo Game Show, where Buck Bumble and Rayman 2 were playable at the Ubisoft booth. The text mentions that 3 N64 titles were being showcased at the event, allowing attendees to actually play them. The next page introduces 2 upcoming titles from Ubisoft: Rayman 2 and Tonic Trouble. Rayman 2, officially titled Rayman 2: The Great Escape, is presented as the sequel to the globally successful Rayman, which sold 3 million copies. It will be in full 3D, with enhanced graphics and a focus on speed. The story involves Rayman and his friends being imprisoned in a galactic zoo, and his quest to escape and obtain Miracle Soup. Screenshots show Rayman exploring 3D environments. The page also features Tonic Trouble, which is making a reappearance. This action-adventure game revolves around an alien named Ed, who crashes on Earth and spills a strange substance, causing chaos. The player's mission is to recover this substance and save Earth from the resulting problems and strange animal transformations. Screenshots depict gameplay in 3D environments. Both games are action-adventure titles for one player, with Rayman 2 slated for release in March '99 and Tonic Trouble in January '99. Tonic Trouble is noted as supporting vibration packs and controller packs. The next page highlights Chameleon Twist 2, showcasing the game's amusement park stage and peculiar candy-themed enemies. Characters like Hamburger and Soft Cream are introduced as enemies. The page also details game information including the title, publisher Japan System Supply, a release date in winter 1998, genre as 3D action, and one-player mode, noting compatibility with Rumble Pack and Controller Pack. Screenshots depict the colorful and whimsical gameplay environments and enemy encounters in this sequel. It seems to be previewing the game and its new features. This page is dedicated to Parlor, PRO64, a pachinko simulation game for the Nintendo 64. It highlights the game's aim to realistically recreate the pachinko experience with over-the-top realism. It features 3 popular pachinko machines: CR Daiku no Gensan, CR Jinjira Paradise, and CR Million Slot 6, noting CR Daiku no Gensan as especially popular. The page shows screenshots of gameplay including different reach sequences, which are exciting moments in pachinko, listing examples like the all-round reach, conveyor reach, crane reach, and prayer reach. It emphasizes the diverse and thrilling reach action present in the game. Parlor, PRO64, was released exclusively in Japan. The next page is focused on Game Boy software, specifically the upcoming game Wario Land 2: Stolen Treasure, an action title from Nintendo, priced at 3,500 yen and scheduled for release on October 21st. The page acts as a preview, where Wario himself excitedly presents his starring role in the game, calling it his major debut. The story introduction explains that Wario wakes up to find his treasure stolen by Captain Syrup and the Black Sugar Gang, which sets up the game's objective of retrieving his stolen loot. It's emphasized that the game can be enjoyed on both the Game Boy Color, with vibrant graphics, and the original monochrome Game Boy. Gameplay hints are provided, suggesting exploration to find hidden rooms and treasures, and mentioning that enemies can be thrown. The page highlights that the game avoids game overs and features multiple endings, encouraging repeated playthroughs. Screenshots show gameplay on both Game Boy Color and the original Game Boy, and a clear screen is also displayed, showing stage coins, total coins, and treasure collected. This page showcases 3 Game Boy Color games. Firstly, it features Tetris DX, highlighting it as a simultaneous release with the Game Boy Color on October 21st. It describes data match functionality, allowing players to compete and exchange data. The page details 3 game modes: Marathon, a standard endless mode; Ultra, a time attack mode where players aim for high scores within 3 minutes; and 40 Lines, a mode focused on clearing 40 lines as quickly as possible. It also mentions that certain scores unlock demo play. Next, the page introduces Growlancer Hexite, also scheduled for release on October 21st, priced at 3,980 yen. It's described as a puzzle game based on the PC title Growlancer Hexite, featuring 7 types of puzzle pieces like triangles and hexagons. The gameplay involves placing pieces to acquire points, with 2-player battles also available, including timed and alternating turn modes. Lastly, Puyo Puyo Sun is presented for the Game Boy Color, releasing on November 27th at 3,980 yen. It's described as a Game Boy Color compatible version of Puyo Puyo that allows communication battles with Puyo Puyo 2. The game includes a new battle mode called Tokoton Puyo Puyo, and the page mentions certification from the All Japan Puyo Puyo Association, AJPA, suggesting official recognition for the game's quality and rules. This page highlights 2 games. First is a Game Boy Color title, Tokimeki Memorial Pocket 1 and 2, which is bringing the popular dating sim series to the handheld in 2 separate versions. It mentions the game will feature a date calendar and some kind of communication via cable. The page lists characters appearing in each version. Pocket 1 features characters like Nijino Saki, Kiyokawa Nozomi, and Kobayakawa Minori, while Pocket 2 includes Katagiri Ayako, Kagami Mirai, Asahina Yuko, and Hayakawa Taemi, with Fujisaki Shiori appearing in both. The page also briefly touches on GB Wars 2 for Game Boy, showcasing its map editor feature, allowing players to create their own maps with varied terrain. The goal of GB Wars 2 is described as capturing enemy territory and ultimately conquering the enemy capital, producing units, and managing cities for income. The next page showcases 4 games. First up is Robot Punkatsu, Sun/Star version for the Game Boy Color, an RPG, where you play as Yusuke and collect over 150 robots. The story revolves around robot battles and a Batorobo tournament to decide the strongest robot in town and school. The goal is to win the greatest one title. The gameplay involves weakening enemy robots and using a catch command to befriend them and add them to your team. Next is Bugs Bunny, Crazy Castle 3 for Game Boy Color, an action game where you control Bugs Bunny. The gameplay is about traversing stages, collecting keys, and opening doors to clear levels. It's a simple and accessible action game. Then there is Beast Wars, working title, for Game Boy Color, an action game based on the popular anime. It features Beast Mode and Battle Mode, utilizing different forms for combat. Battles are emphasized, with special moves and ultimate techniques being key to victory. The game promises exciting battles with Beast Wars characters, and a dream matchup for fans. Finally, it mentions that an N64 version of Robot Punkatsu is in development, following the Game Boy Color release. This N64 version aims to bring the robots to 3D and feature large-scale battles utilizing the 64GB pack. This page highlights 3 Game Boy titles. Firstly, there's Pocket Train, a train simulation game where you can operate trains on the Yamanote Line and Osaka Loop Line, aiming for perfect runs. It also features a bonus trolley game section, where you control a trolley using buttons to accelerate and brake, earning bonus points for successful stops. Next up is Mahjong Legend Jiangse, a professional mahjong game. It emphasizes learning from professional players in a guidance mode and offers a realistic experience against pro opponents. The game also supports the pocket printer, allowing you to print your records and achievements. Finally, we have Bomberman Quest, an action RPG, where Bomberman uses bombs and other items. You'll navigate a map divided into 4 zones, facing boss characters and powering up Bomberman with weapons and equipment. The game appears to be a classic Bomberman-style action game, but with RPG elements. This page showcases upcoming Game Boy and Super Famicom titles. For the Game Boy, Gekitotsu Jansu Taro Kojima Takeo no Janpai Jisen Kyushitsu is a mahjong game focused on teaching players, featuring training and a first dan certification mode, along with 2-player link cable battles. Gekitu Power Modeler is an action game where players upgrade their robot, the Power Modeler, and engage in battles, also supporting 2-player play via link cable. The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening DX, is announced with new features, pocket printer support, a map, color-changing Link outfits affecting stats, and a new dungeon. Finally, the Super Famicom puzzle game, Suit Hakun, reveals a cheat to view solutions and announces a high-score contest. This page is the final episode of the Bistro to 64 cooking contest feature in 64Dream magazine. It announces the grand prize winners for the Bistro Grand Prix. The grand prize winning recipe is for Kirby's Strawberry Milk Jelly, a cute dessert creation. The runner-up prize is for Banbaga, which is a Banjo-Kazooie themed burger. The comments section praises both entries for their appearance and deliciousness. The page concludes with a farewell message thanking readers and contributors marking the end of the Bistro de 64 series. This page is the final installment of the Pokepara 2 section, a Pokemon-focused feature. It lists upcoming Pokemon games for the N64 and Game Boy. N64, Hey You Pikachu, is mentioned as releasing in winter 1998. Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Stadium 2 are listed for 1999, with unknown release dates. And Pokemon Stadium Gold and Silver, also for 1999 with an unknown date. For Game Boy, Pokemon Gold and Silver are noted for summer 1999. There is a screenshot from what is described as the highly anticipated Game Boy titles Pokemon Gold and Silver, with the article noting that the editorial team has actually played it and are excited for its expected release around autumn and then potentially May of next year from Nintendo Space World. The page also features a merchandise section showing new Pokemon model kits and tape dispensers, and an illustration corner showcasing fan-submitted artwork. It is also stated that future Pokemon information will be in the main 64Dream magazine publication. This page is titled, Go Forth Mario Elite Squad, Illustration Special Haul, and showcases a collection of fan art submissions. The text at the top right discusses the end of a game show season and the deepening autumn, mentioning deadlines for submissions, and encouraging readers to keep sending in their illustrations. The featured artworks are from readers in various prefectures and cover a range of game themes. One section highlights the popularity of Pokemon, showing fan art inspired by Pokemon Red and Blue versions, and mentioning the highly anticipated Pokemon Gold and Silver versions. Another illustration also focuses on Pokemon, featuring Pikachu in a rainy scene. Elsewhere, an illustration depicts characters from a fighting game, referencing Gasp, and expressing surprise that it was someone's first fighting game. There's a humorous and slightly bizarre drawing of a character referred to as Mr. EAD, with a prominent belt buckle. Further down, an artwork references Wonder Project J from the Super Famicom, depicting a boy with a fairy character and a cat. Another fighting game is alluded to with Super Punch-Out, also for the Super Famicom, and lastly, there is fan art of Teeny from Fire Emblem, also likely from the Super Famicom era, noted for its cuteness. The remaining illustrations seem to be more generic anime-style art, without explicit game references. Overall, the page is a celebration of fan creativity focused on game-inspired art from readers across Japan. The next page is dedicated to a Zelda special feature, showcasing reader submissions based on the theme of Zelda. The current theme was OMA Tei, which are Japanese sounds and words related to waiting or anticipation, implying anticipation for a new Zelda release. For the next issue, the theme will be Uga, which could relate to a powerful or kingly image, perhaps hinting at Ganon or another powerful figure. Reader illustrations feature various Zelda characters. One illustration from Okayama Prefecture depicts a group of Chibi-style Zelda characters. Another from Tottori Prefecture shows Link and another character embracing. Hokkaido's submission features Link, Princess Ruto, and Midna in a stylized scene. A submission from Saitama Prefecture shows three green-clad characters, who the artist jokes could easily be mistaken for Luigi from Mario. Kyoto's illustration depicts Link looking thoughtfully at the sky. Miyagi Prefecture's art is of Holy Princess Zelda in a praying pose. Osaka's illustration is based on The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, with panels of various characters around Link. In the illustration fan letter section, there are smaller illustrations and fan comments. In the illustration under 10 years old section, even younger fans have contributed drawings, including Pokemon characters like Togepi and Pikachu, alongside Zelda-themed art. The page highlights the creativity and passion of Zelda fans of all ages. There is also a note about the 98 year-end results being announced in the next issue, likely referring to some kind of reader poll or competition. This page is a collection of fan-submitted illustrations. You can see artwork inspired by Mystical Ninja, starring Goemon 2, a 3D game. There's also a piece with a Kirby's Dream Land theme, and another illustration of a rather realistic dragon. Doraemon and his pals are drawn in a soft, color pencil style. Pokemon's Team Rocket duo, Jesse and James, make an appearance, with a mention of F-Zero X. Another F-Zero piece features Samurai Goro and Antonio Guster. A cute artwork looks like it's from the world of Pokemon. And lastly, there's a Nurse Peach illustration inspired by Dr. Mario, with the artist expressing their wish for Peach to appear in more games. Each artwork is credited to a different artist from various regions of Japan. This page showcases reader submissions for the Mario Parent Child Guard Unit section featuring 4-panel manga and illustrations inspired by Nintendo games. The top half of the page presents four manga strips. The first strip uses Pokemon, showing a Magikarp evolving into Gyarados in a humorous way. The second strip also features Pokemon, with Starmie in a fishing-related joke. The third strip is Zelda-themed, depicting Link in a funny situation. The final 4 features Mario and a mushroom, playing on a comedic theme. Below these manga strips, there are 3 larger illustrations. One is of Link, titled Cool Shape. Another of Fox McCloud and Falco from Star Fox, titled Bluebird. And lastly, a Mario and Luigi illustration named Hate Brothers. The bottom part of the page lists names categorized by ranks, likely recognizing contributors to the magazine section, and calls for new illustration submissions of 4 manga and illustrations, detailing submission guidelines and prizes like special team member ID cards. This page is all about special commands for the N64 game Choro Q64, which was released internationally as Penny Racers. It details 2 cheat commands to unlock everything from the start. The first command unlocks all classes, even the top AA class, from the beginning of the game. To activate it, you need to hold down the Z trigger button while pressing start at the push start title screen, and it mentions using the down direction on both the D-pad and C buttons as part of the input sequence. The second command gives you unlimited use of special parts, which are normally limited to just a few uses per race. This command is entered at the car selection screen by holding L and R triggers, up on the D-pad and C buttons, and then pressing start. The page highlights that using these commands makes winning much easier, even allowing you to easily lap your opponents. This page focuses on Flying Dragon SD, also known as Hiryu no Ken Twin, which was released only in Japan for the N64. The page is titled, Treasure Item Acquisition Conditions Greatly Revealed, and details how to obtain treasure items in the game. It outlines 2 main methods to get treasure items. The first method is related to battles, where specific conditions must be met during a fight, such as winning a round without losing. The second method involves circuit battles, where treasure items appear as prizes if you win under certain conditions. The page lists various conditions and the corresponding treasure items you can obtain. These conditions range from defeating specific characters like Metal Dragon to having a certain number of medals or fulfilling gameplay time requirements. Many items are listed with numerical codes. Screenshots on the page show gameplay, featuring characters engaged in combat. The overall tone is informative, aiming to guide players on how to collect treasures within Flying Dragon SD. This page highlights techniques and hidden elements in various N64 games. For Choro Q64, known as Penny Racers internationally, it details a method to get unlimited car parts. After a race in VS mode, players can exchange parts by using controller packs, allowing for shared and expanded customization. Rakuga Kids, a Japan-exclusive title, reveals how to unlock secret characters Izayoi and Darkness. By leaving the N64 powered on for 2 hours, Izayoi becomes selectable when choosing Mamezo. If you leave it on for 5 hours, Darkness will appear as a playable character automatically. Izayoi is described as similar to Mamezo, but with its own distinct feel, while Darkness is touted as a powerful character perfect for versus matches. For what is likely Mario Tennis, the page explains how to select different ball colors. In any mode where court selection is possible, navigating to the right screen and using the C buttons left and right allows players to choose from 8 ball colors for visual variety. Lastly, Pokemon Stadium is featured, pointing out that in free battle mode, trainers from the original Pokemon games, Red and Green, can be spotted in the audience as spectators during battles, though they might appear a bit blurry. The next page showcases Hall of Dream techniques, featuring player-submitted tips and tricks. First, for Doraemon 3D, there's a trick to set your paint tool drawings as the game's wallpaper by holding the C button unit. Another tip for Doraemon 3D details how to temporarily remove distracting text during test play by pressing the L trigger. Moving on to GoldenEye 007, a reader shares a method to increase tank shell ammo in runway or city street levels by setting weapons to tank shells and rapidly pressing A and B buttons. Another GoldenEye 007 tip highlights a funny glitch on the Statue Park stage, where shooting Nataria near the edge will cause her to fall. Lastly, for Top Gear Rally, a technique is described to achieve a pseudo-manual gear shift even in automatic mode. By inputting the 3D stick during the auto start in missions longer than 3 laps, you can force a higher gear. The page also announces the start of Dream Technique submissions for Super Famicom and Game Boy games, inviting readers to send in their tips via postcard or fax. The bottom section is a big recruitment drive for Dream Techniques, explaining how to submit game tips and the various prize ranks available, ranging from Super Dream with a generous prize to disappointing. It also provides submission instructions and contact details. This catalog highlights upcoming N64 titles, categorized by genre. Several RPGs are featured, including Mother 3 64DD, known for its emotional story, Super Mario RPG 2 64DD, a 2D game with innovative graphics, L-Tale set for January 1999 release, Zool featuring real-time battles and unique monsters, Hybrid Heaven from Konami, set for spring 1999, and Robot Pankatsu 64 from Hudson, a robot racing game. Action games include The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, released November 21, 1998, praised for its nostalgic music and engaging gameplay, and Banjo-Kazooie, releasing December 6, 1998, which is highly acclaimed for its freedom and innovation. Ultra Donkey Kong, with an undecided release date, is also mentioned, suggesting a nostalgic experience, likely related to Donkey Kong 64. The upcoming N64 catalog features a variety of games. Nintendo's lineup includes Conquer 64 12 Tales, a cute adventure game, Kirby 64, a remake focusing on Kirby's classic gameplay, and Super Mario 64 2 for the 64DD add-on. Other titles include Doraemon 2, a December release promising adventure, Koei's Winback, a winter anti-terrorist game, Ganbare Goemon, a December 23 two-player action game, and Konami's Akumaju Dracula Mokushiroku, Castlevania, Legacy of Darkness, a 3D action title due in spring 1999. Days. Bandai's Neon Genesis Evangelion arrives in March 1999. UBI Soft offers Tonic Trouble and Rayman 2 in January and March, respectively. Chameleon Twist 2 and Hudson's Last Legion UX, a robot fighting game, are also planned for release. Upcoming N64 games span several genres. Fighting games include Imagineer's Fighting Cup, December 1998, and two Hiryu no Ken Stadium versions from Culture Brain, SD and Real version, both December 1998 winter. 64 Ozumo 2 for sumo fans is due in November 1998. Adventure games feature Kemco's Shadowgate 64, spring 1999, and Hudson's Kindaichi Shonen no Jikenbo. Simulation games include Nintendo's SimCity 64, 64DD, and Cabbage, Creature Racing. Konami's G1 Stable, Horse Racing, is expected in spring 1999. Strategy RPG Ogre Battle 3 is slated for winter. Tommy's Super Dimension Fortress Macross and Hudson's 64 Wars, War Simulation, are also in development, though details and release dates are limited. This page highlights several upcoming and recently released N64 games. PD Ultraman Battle Collection 64 is a strategy game. Flight Simulator, from Video System, is a flight simulation game focusing on vertical takeoff aircraft. Onagai Monster is a monster raising simulation. J-League Tactics Soccer is a soccer management game. Story of Seasons 2 is a farming simulation. Magical Tetris Challenge featuring Mickey offers a Tetris experience with Disney characters. Wet Tetris is a water-themed puzzle game. Tetris 64 is a revamped version of Bio Tetris, with a heart rate sensor mode. Kudamono Taro Challenge Puzzle 64 is a puzzle game based on an anime. Buck Bumble is a 3D shooting game. Turok 2 promises improved graphics, and Knife Edge is a jet coaster-type shooting game. Upcoming and recently released N64 games include several sports titles. Baseball fans can look forward to Super Dimension Niter Pro Yaku King 2 and Ultra Baseball Jitsumeiban 64, with the former emphasizing data updates and the latter offering enhanced power-ups. Snow sports are represented by Snowspeeder and King Hill 64 Extreme Snowboarding, both featuring varied courses and trick systems. Nintendo is developing a realistic golf game. Other titles include Tukon Retsuden 2, a pro wrestling game, Getter Love, Super Love Party Game, a romance party game, Kirato Kaiketsu, 64 Tantedan, a board game, and Pro Shinan Mahjong Hei, a mahjong game with advanced AI by Kusho Jinsei. 64 Mezai. Resort O is a board game focused on building a resort. Finally, Extreme G2 offers futuristic bike racing, and Top Gear Overdrive is a customizable racing game. This page previews upcoming N64 titles across racing, simulation, and other genres. Racing games include SETA's Rev Limit, facing development hurdles, Imagineer's City Tour Grand Prix, GT Racing in Kyoto, October 1998, and Nintendo's F1 World Grand Prix, realistic F1 racing. The Etc. category features Sammy's Practical Pachislot Winning Method, a Pachislot simulator, Nihon Telenet's Parlor, Pro 64, a pachinko simulator, Pokemon Snap, a photography game, and Pikachu Genki Dechu, a communication game using a microphone. The Mario Artist series on the 64DD includes Paint Studio, drawing, Polygon Studio, 3D modeling, Talent Studio, character animation via video, and Sound Studio, music creation. Finally, Pokemon Stadium 2 is previewed, promising large-scale battles with all 151 Pokemon and compatibility with Pokemon Gold and Silver. This page highlights several upcoming and featured N64 games. Nushitsuri 64 is a fishing RPG with RPG elements, insect collection, and a relaxing atmosphere. Dobutsu Banchou, Kari, a human disqualification animal qualification love simulation, and Kyojin no Doshin, Kari, where players control a giant on an island, also have upcoming releases. Player comments express excitement for Fighting Cup and Bokujo Monogatari 2. At the Tokyo Game Show 98 autumn, despite Nintendo's absence, several new titles were revealed. Cho Snowboard Kids and Akumaju Dracula. Mokushiroku are mentioned. Superman and Shinseki Evangelion had playable demos, as did Hybrid Heaven, praised for its gameplay. Finally, L-Tale, Kari, an RPG, is tentatively set for a January 99 release. This Capcom Fan Club news update focuses on various game-related announcements and community engagement. Capcom showcased Magical Tetris Challenge featuring Mickey at the AM Show and Tokyo Game Show, but with no new N64 title news. They also highlighted the popularity of Biohazard, Resident Evil, and expressed interest in titles like Final Fight on the N64. A recommendation for the soon-to-be-released Metal Walker game for its unique pedometer and battle features was included. A Street Fighter artist album featuring various theme songs was also announced. Additionally, the update offers a glimpse into Capcom's development environment, where Chief Okamoto's bourbon-stocked room is a popular hub. The update closes with fan feedback including requests for Rockman 9 and comments on other titles, and ranks popular Capcom series in a Hagaki ranking. The next page is showcasing a reader prize giveaway from 64Dream magazine. They're giving away a Nintendo 64 console and packs of N64 controllers, plus a brand new Game Boy Color. There are also some themed phone cards featuring Zelda and Yoshi. Looking at the games up for grabs, there's Let's Smash, a 4-player tennis game for the N64, which was a Japanly release from Hudson. Alongside that is Chusoku Spinner for the Game Boy, a game based on Hyper Yo-Yo. There's also a King Bombi mobile phone strap, seemingly related to Let's Smash. For storage and accessories, they're giving away 64 play racks to store your N64 and games, 64 carrier bags to transport your N64 to a friend's house, and even 64 cassette cases to keep your N64 cartridges organized. There are also some more general items, like a Hello Kitty pocket belt case, and Pokemon-themed prizes, including Pokemon Tape Mates, Pocket Monster model kits featuring Pikachu and Togepi, and Pika-Poke Pokemon Game Boy cases. To enter, readers need to fill out a questionnaire postcard, specify which prize they want, and send it in by November 20th, 1998, with the winners being announced in the February issue of 64Dream. The next page features the Reader's Questionnaire, asking readers about their opinions on the magazine's current issue, including the cover and articles. Readers are asked to select their favorite and least favorite articles from a provided list, and to indicate what game consoles and software they are interested in buying. The page also presents departmental game rankings, categorized by the first letter of the game title in Japanese. Some of the games listed in the rankings include Castlevania, Dracula XX, Wave Race 64, Bomberman 64, F1 World Grand Prix, Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, Ganbare Goemon, Dero Dushu Obake Tenkomori, Tetris 64, Top Gear Overdrive and Parlor, PRO 64, Pachinko Jitsuki Simulation Game. A section titled 64Dream October Issue Presents announces the winners of reader prizes, listing names and prefectures for various prizes, including Nintendo 64 consoles and games like Pokemon Stadium, controller bundles, and software. Finally, Ankeido's Viewpoint column discusses the question, "Are you still a game lover?" and reflects on how adult life might change one's perspective and enjoyment of video games, exploring the idea of evolving interests and maintaining a playful spirit. The next page is the contents page for the magazine, highlighting the main articles. It promotes a feature on the upcoming release of The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, with a complete strategy Part 1 and an interview titled, "Miyamoto-san, thank you for your hard work" interview. The Dream Game Index lists articles covering numerous games including Winback, Ogre Battle 3, Prince of Zenobia, Lordly Caliber, Ganbare Goemon Dero Dushu, Obake Tenkomori, Killer Instinct 64, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Tetris 64, Tetris DX, J-League Tactics Soccer, Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Stadium 2, and Pikachu Genki Deishu. There's also a section called Game Dream Believer and other miscellaneous articles listed with page numbers. The bottom of the page provides publishing and contact information for the magazine. This page is an advertisement for Game Fan Books, a series of official guidebooks for PlayStation games. It highlights several guides that are currently available and some that are scheduled for release in October. Games advertised include Doki Doki Pretty League, a hot-blooded baseball girl training and love simulation game, Epica Stella Strategy Guide, The Legend of Heroes IV, Scarlet Sea Wave Official Guidebook, and Tokimeki Memorial. For upcoming releases they advertise Gokusen Mystery Girl Detective Team Strategy Guide, Konami Parody Comic Series, Illusionary Water Margin, and Himitsu Sentai Metamore V Super Encyclopedia and Strategy Databook. The ad includes prices and ISBN numbers for each guidebook and mentions they are available at bookstores and PC shops nationwide. This page is an advertisement for a game featuring a massive 500 types of monsters. It poses the question of what kind of evolutions your monsters will undergo, and whether they'll actually listen to your commands, emphasizing that it all comes down to how you raise them. The ad mentions that you can raise up to 9 monsters simultaneously, and their evolutions are varied depending on your training methods, like feeding them and sending them on errands. The core gameplay revolves around raising monsters that are obedient and working towards creating evolution charts and searching for treasure. The visual elements include example evolution paths, showing stages like birth and molting, and it's highlighted that feeding and errands greatly affect the evolution. This is advertising what seems to be the game Monster Rancher, known as Monster Farm in Japan. This page showcases the game One Guy Monsters for the Nintendo 64, emphasizing it as a brand new one-guy type evolution training game. Scheduled for release in late November 1998, the game is priced at 6,980 yen. The screenshots highlight different gameplay aspects. One scene shows a store where players can gather information and items. Another screenshot demonstrates the special ability Angel Wings, which recovers health upon taking damage. The final screenshot depicts the Shell Bow attack, described as a cute but powerful electric attack. This page is an advertisement for the Game Boy Color game Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle 3. It highlights the game as an action title featuring Bugs Bunny and other Looney Tunes characters like Tweety Bird, Tasmanian Devil, and Daffy Duck. The advert announces a December release and a price of 3,980 yen from publisher Kemco.